We are the morning show that takes you back in time. But we just have to figure out what year we land in. See if you can figure it out. We will try to figure it out. Let's play flashback. Woo! Wow.
Ooh.
Charity, I am sure you grew
gotta
up
know
with
this.
Christina Aguilera posters on your walls.
No.
Come on.
That was the jam, though. I mean, that really put her on the map.
What?
97, 98, or 99?
99.
99.
I'll agree.
I will go with you. 99.
Is that your final answer? Okay,
Yes!
so was it the Christina Aguilera or was it
Movie theater
Yes,
job,
I was
The
gonna
Sixth
say,
Sense.
yeah.
Yes, that's
which
what it
was
comes
a
down
great
to.
movie,
That
by
was a
the
great
way.
It
one.
was.
I did not know the ending until I saw it in the theater.
Yeah, don't tell everybody.
I
You
won't
might
tell
not have seen
anybody.
it. Yes.
Yeah, no spoilers after 25 years. Blew my mind. Charity
It did,
Curdy,
didn't it?
what stories are you following?
The Veep Stakes mystery will be over as Kamala Harris will unveil her running mate today. At least 5 Americans have been injured in a rocket attack at a U.S. military base in Iraq, and Texas DPS has reinstated a ranger who was targeted for termination after the Uvalde school shooting. We'll have details coming up. Right now, traffic and weather together.
Sunny skies and hot today, tomorrow, and on Thursday. Highs 100 today, 103 tomorrow, 103 on Thursday, 80 degrees in Von Ormy, 80 at Randolph Air Force Base, and 79 right here in Stone Oak. WOAI News Time, 5:52.
The late, great Gary Wright, Dreamweaver on a Yacht Rock Tuesday. Love that song. San Antonio's first news. Now, Charity, I know you've got a cat or cats. Do you have a dog?
No, but that's coming eventually. Yeah.
All right.
I'm waiting for the cats to live their long, peaceful lives before we bring a dog in the house. So.
Dogs and cats can get along.
Fair enough. Now, when you do get the dog, Charity, would you consider Dolce & Gabbana now has a doggy perfume? Would you consider, purchasing a scent for the dog in your house eventually?
No, you give the dog a bath if it stinks. That's what you do. You don't go buy perfume.
All right. Well, Mr. T, we've got more on the new Dolce & Gabbana doggy perfume.
Yes, we do.
Tired of wasting money on noble causes? Spoil your dog with Dolce & Gabbana's new Fefe, a perfume for dogs. Because nothing says opulence like an overpriced cologne for your pup who'd probably prefer to roll in squirrel poop or mud. Why donate to science and try and make a difference in the world when you can drench your dog in Fefe? Make every sniff a reminder of your pretentious choices. Fefe by Dolce & Gabbana, because your dog's dignity is worth every penny.
It really is.
Remind everybody of your pretentious choices. That is so good.
That's the ultimate gag gift. Give it to a human, you know,
there you go.
and maybe they'll get the
Ooh,
message.
Maybe you'll smell
You
better.
are a dog. You are a dog. So here's your Fefe dog face. I like it. I like it a lot.
I have a dog, and I would not buy perfume for my dog.
If
And
you
I
buy
love my
perfume
dog.
for your dog, you are a loser. I'm just saying. Okay, we're asking the people. Today's the day. Later today, we will know who Kamala Harris picks as her running mate for vice president, and we're calling our shot all morning long. Charity says Josh Shapiro. Mr. T says Mark Kelly. By default, I'm going with Grandpa Tim Walz. Let's hear. It would not be a morning in America without hearing from RK.
Amen.
Yeah, RK here. I'm guessing Obama's going to pick Pennsylvania, although he'd like to pick all three and just, have one of them clusters. But anyway, you guys have a good day. Y'all know what's going on. Bye.
Obama's making the pick. I love it. RK, I love the crickets in the background.
Yeah, just the wildlife alone is
Yes.
worth it. It's worth it. And guess what? We're going to hear from Tracy Bogart.
Oh, Tracy Bogart.
This is Tracy Bogart. As I've said for 2 weeks since Biden stepped down, it will be Josh Shapiro for two reasons. 51 years old, 61% approval rating, won in 2022 by 14 points. We need Pennsylvania. He's Jewish, might also help us in Florida.
What?
Huh?
What?
What are you saying about Florida?
Wow.
Okay, that's an interesting comment about
That is. That is.
Florida. Okay.
All right, let's go to Kemper.
Good morning on this Yacht Rockin' Taco Tuesday. Not sure who Kamala will pick, but I was thinking after watching the Olympics that possibly Trump or Kamala might consider adding Snoop Dogg to their entourage. Snoop seems to bring the crowds and entertain and inform. Might be a whole new perspective on politics. Have a great day.
Brilliant idea.
Actually, not bad.
If either of them, Trump or Harris, had Snoop Dogg on board at the campaigns,
He has become America's sweetheart.
He
so
really has.
wow.
He really. Did you see that they threw a party because the Team USA made it into Paris and he was the performer at the party?
I did not.
Yeah, they had a red carpet and everything. It's the Olympics, people.
He's Snoop Dogg, man.
Yeah. He goes, all right, we got time for one more. And of course, what would talkbacks be without our favorite school teacher in Lytle?
Hey guys, Stephen from Lytle, and whoever clueless cackling Kamala picks, remember it's the same Democratic Party that lied to us for 4 years about Joe Biden, so forget them. It's the first day that teachers had to report back to work in Lytle, so here's some jokes. Teacher, Johnny, name a couple of pronouns. Johnny, who, me? Teacher, good job. Teacher, why are y'all doing your multiplication work on the floor? Student, well, you said we had to do it without tables.
Wow. He's on fire.
He is on fire.
You'll be here all week. Tip your wait staff. Try the deal.
So teachers are already showing up in school?
Yes.
in
She's
Lytle?
wrong.
Wow.
August 6th.
Hey, whatever happened to Labor Day?
Yeah.
We used to go to school after Labor Day.
I'm telling you, my first grader begins next Monday
That's big.
in the
just
Northeast
wrong.
ISD. So it's,
Yeah,
it's
but
here.
as a parent, parents are probably applauding that.
Sure they
right?
are.
It doesn't matter because we're applauding not having to pay the summer camp bill anymore if they're going to a public school. But there is, you have to put money in their lunch account and there's other fees
Wait, you
associated.
don't give them a brown bag?
She goes back and forth. Sometimes she wants me
That's
to make
good.
the lunch,
I
and
got
sometimes
you.
she wants the cafeteria
I
food.
got
So
you.
Yeah.
All right. Coming up, Charity, with everything you need to know on this Yacht Rock Tuesday at the top of the hour. And yesterday, Debbie did Florida. Now Debbie's doing Georgia and South Carolina. We'll bring you the latest on now Tropical Storm Debbie at 6:10. WOAI News Time, 5:58. For the people.
Hello, people.
Thanks for finding us again. Andrew Zimmel with the new video feed. Sika Pollen, Travis, Kemper. We just played your talk back. It was outstanding.
As always.
Travis, very nice.
All right, we're back. All right.
Woo!
Woo.
Woohoo!
Crisis averted. Just can't rely on technology anymore,
I was just thinking, and there is no Debbie song. I was thinking, would it be nice to come back with a song about Debbie? There's.
See, I don't think there. No,
Hey, we need Hurricane Barbara Ann. Ba 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 Barbara Ann.
Oh, I like that.
How is there not a Debbie song after all these years?
That's true.
Just wrong, I say.
And now that it's a tropical storm, is it Little Debbie?
Ooh, it is Little Debbie, or as they call her in South Central, Lil Debbie.
Lil Debbie.
Lil Deb.
Lil Debbie.
Lil
Lil
Deb.
Deb.
Lil
Lil
D.
Deb. I like it. Lil Deb.
6, 10.
We're going to stick with what we got here?
Yeah. I think it makes sense. You cool with that?
Yeah.
All right.
Way cool, dude. Way cool, man. Way cool. I have some audio with that as well.
Travis, it is before 0600. You think I'm a little too lewd for post 600?
I don't think so. I mean, she did do Florida.
She did Florida.
All right, you want to let them listen to Charity for a second?
Yes.
Here comes Charity.
Six o'clock is our time. San Antonio's first news. Good Tuesday morning. I'm Charity McCurdy. Among our top stories, U.S. personnel have been injured in a rocket attack in western Iraq, and VP Kamala Harris is set to reveal her running mate. Details coming up. First, traffic and weather together every 10 minutes in mornings. Your Weather Channel forecast for this Tuesday: sunny and hot, a high of 100. Tonight's low in the upper 70s. Right now, 80 degrees. At least 5 American personnel have been hurt in an attack against a base in Iraq. Here's Fox's Kristen Goodwin.
2 U.S. defense officials tell Fox News several U.S. personnel were injured in a suspected rocket attack against a military base in western Iraq, saying base personnel are conducting a post-attack damage assessment. Tensions in the region rising. The U.S. has been bracing for Iran to retaliate against Israel over the killings of a senior Hezbollah commander in Lebanon and Hamas's top political leader in Iran. It also comes after the Pentagon announced it was deploying additional fighter jets and Navy warships to the Middle East to boost defenses following threats from Iran and its allies. Kristen Goodwin, Fox News.
Tropical storm Debbie continues to make its way north after making landfall as a Category 1 hurricane yesterday in Florida's Big Bend area. The National Hurricane Center says Debbie's moving across southeastern Georgia at just 7 miles per hour, with forecast warning of major, possibly historic flooding throughout the southeast over the next several days. At least 5 deaths are blamed on the storm. Well, all eyes are on Philadelphia as Vice President Kamala Harris reveals her running mate. Jennifer Joyce has more on Decision 2024.
Not only is Harris in town, Donald Trump's VP, J.D. Vance, will be speaking in South Philadelphia at an event at noon. Temple University senior Alex Elsmore thinks the buzz is exciting.
Also just a cool thing, too. It's like, I live right down the road. Like, it's not every day you get a chance to see like a past president or a future president able to come to your college.
Harris is expected to be joined by her running mate, which sources say has been narrowed down to PA Governor Josh Shapiro and Minnesota Governor Tim Walz.
Meantime, former President Trump is vowing not to debate Kamala Harris unless she agrees to a debate on Fox News. Here's Fox's Kevin Cork.
It's the sort of back and forth you either love or hate, depending on how much you appreciate political gamesmanship. Now, on Truth Social, President Trump proclaimed this: Kamala Harris doesn't have the mental capacity to do a real debate against me, scheduled for September 4th in Pennsylvania. She's afraid to do it because there's no way she can justify her corrupt and open borders, the environmental destruction of our country, the Afghanistan embarrassment, runaway inflation, terrible economy, high interest rates and taxes, and her years-long fight to stop the words Merry Christmas. I'll see her on September 4th, or I won't see her at all.
Well, the one Texas Ranger targeted for firing as a result of the bungled police response to the Uvalde school shooting in 2022 is now reinstated. Texas Ranger Christopher Kindle had been suspended from duty in January of last year. Colonel Steve McCraw, head of the Texas DPS, removed Kindle from suspension on Friday and reinstated him to his position in Uvalde County. McCraw says he rethought his decision after studying the results of the Texas Ranger criminal investigation and internal review of the actions of DPS officers and the Uvalde County Grand Jury's review of the police response. Well, a major stock market sell-off extended around the world yesterday. Here's Fox's Hillary Barsky.
It was a Monday that began with stocks plunging around the globe, reminiscent of the stock market crash of 1987. The major averages did end the trading day sharply lower on recession worries, with the Dow falling 1,034 points, the Nasdaq down 576, S&P 500 lower by 160. The sell-off follows weak economic data last week, including Friday's soft jobs report for July. Investors are worried that the Fed has pressed the brakes on the economy by doing too much for too long through high interest rates in hopes of tackling hot inflation. High-flying tech stocks, which outperformed earlier this year, were among the worst decliners, while Wall Street's fear gauge spiked to the highest level in 4 years.
Well, SpaceX says its next launch of the Starship prototype could include a noisy finish. The company announced its next launch will feature an attempt to recover the vehicle's Super Heavy booster at the Boca Chica Beach launch pad. SpaceX says slowing down the booster to make recovery possible will create one or more sonic booms over South Texas. The next launch is expected later this month or early next month. Well, the American Red Cross says there's an extreme shortage of blood across the country. Last month, extreme heat impacted blood drives across the USA, resulting in a 25% decrease in blood donations. As a thank you and an incentive, people who donate this month will receive a $20 Amazon gift card. It is 6:06, news at the top and bottom of every hour, along with breaking news as it happens. I'm Charity McCurdy. Traffic and weather coming up.
A Yacht Rock Tuesday, San Antonio's first news. He's Mr. T, Tim Merriman. She's Charity McCurdy. Charlie Parker will be along with Those Were the Days at 6:48. At 6:40, White House correspondent John Decker. His thoughts on who will be chosen as the running mate for Kamala Harris. But first, let's get you caught up on traffic and weather together.
Sunny skies and hot today, tomorrow, and on Thursday. Highs today 100, 103 tomorrow and Thursday. Right now it's 80 degrees in Leon Valley, 80 at Snake Farm, and 79 right here in Stone Oak. WOAI News Time, 6:10.
Todd Rundgren on a Yacht Rock Tuesday. San Antonio's first news. Well, it was about 24 hours ago that then Hurricane Debbie made landfall in Florida. Much of yesterday, Hurricane Debbie moved across northern Florida. Let's listen to Florida Governor Ron DeSantis.
The Florida Division of Emergency Management has completed 435 storm-related missions, and they are currently in the process of completing another 400 more.
Wow, that's 800 plus. And of course, now it is Tropical Storm Debbie, and it is currently in Georgia, moved from Florida to Georgia. But still, Charity, a number of deaths have been reported in the wake of this storm.
Yeah, at least 4 people died in Florida, 1 from a downed tree, 1 on a slick road, and 2 died after a single vehicle wreck. 1 person also died in Georgia due to a falling tree. And again, every time there's a hurricane, it seems like that's the number one threat is falling trees, because even after the storm is passed, all those heavy hurricane force winds uproot trees, making them very vulnerable and prone to falling on cars or people.
Yeah, and they're talking about this once in a 1,000-year rainfall to hit the southeast, I should say. 20 inches of rain in parts of Florida, 30 inches of rain in some other areas. My only thing is they bring this up all the time, the 100-year flood, the 1 in a 1,000-year rainfall, and then next year it'll happen again, and they'll say it all over again. So it doesn't make any sense to me why they use that terminology. I want to know exactly what that means.
It's a huge point. We hear this hyperbole so often when there are weather events, in this case, a hurricane. And yeah, next time another one comes around, whenever it is, such as in the next year, we hear terminology like this again. But bottom line, and Charity, just to underscore what you talked about, falling trees, killing at least a couple of people in the wake of this storm. You think of a storm, you think of, drowning, you think of flooding, you think of, maybe a tornado gets your home and tears your home apart. You don't think of falling trees. And I think if we're ever in storms like this, that is certainly something to add to the list, something to be very, very vigilant about and very careful around trees that could fall.
Yeah, I mean, that's what happened to Governor Greg Abbott. He went on a jog after a storm and was hit by a falling tree. So, that's a lot more local proof that this is something that happens more often than you think. But also, the fact that these storms are moving slower. We talked about that with Weather Channel meteorologist Ray Stajic, that a lot of these tropical systems are slowing down in recent years, and that makes them able to produce greater rainfall totals, which is why you're seeing like 30 inches in some places. I mean, you're going to have catastrophic flooding, and it takes a long time for that water to move out.
Yeah, and I am a witness to these trees that Terry's talking about during the storm falling. I can't tell you how many trees have fallen on my property just after a strong rainstorm, much less, tornadoes or hurricanes or anything like that. If there's any, high wind and it's straight line wind, you can tell because it'll fall one direction. And they'll just fall.
Yeah. And again, we talked about this yesterday, and we can't underscore it enough. Hurricane season will run into and through November. And this hurricane season is predicted and was predicted to produce more and more intense storms throughout. So those of us who live in Texas, certainly those of us who have family or property up and down the Texas Gulf Coast, here we are in early August. We've got all of August, September, October, November to be very, very careful and keep our eyes open to what might be approaching the Texas Gulf Coast in the coming weeks.
Hopefully we get some rainfall at some point. I'm not saying I want a hurricane or anything to hit the Texas coast, but it would be nice to get additional rainfall before the summer's through.
Yeah, just some rain. That's all we're asking for. We're not asking for a storm, just some rain.
Amen to that. All right. As I mentioned, coming up at 6:40, White House correspondent John Decker will be there in Philadelphia covering the rally as Vice President Kamala Harris will reveal today her choice for running mate. And we're asking you on the Talkback feature, call your shot. Who do you think it's going to be? That and more coming up. WOAI News Time, 6:15. Are there any talkbacks?
One. Let me list. And we're back.
Hey, everybody. Those of you who found us,
congratulations.
Yeah, this is our second feed of the morning. The first one crashed.
First one crashed, which I'm blaming the operators on that one, man.
Well, you know who I blame?
Who's that?
Tracy Bogert.
You know?
We heard him on the talkback.
Yep.
He doesn't like us in here.
Good morning, Bobby, Tim, Travis.
You were all mean to Tracy Bogert.
Tommy.
So
SWAT cat.
Wow, SWAT cats. Enola Gay today, 1945. And isn't today David Robinson's birthday? August 6th, I do believe. I do believe.
Well, if it is, our good Charlie friend Charlie Parker missed it.
Charlie would not have missed it. Let me tell you this.
David Maurice
I saw it on my time
Robinson.
hop.
He doesn't have it.
Well, maybe I'm wrong, but I could swear. There's me with David Robinson.
Oh, cool.
Let me see if I think I have his birthday here on time hop.
I think it's tomorrow. Tomorrow or Thursday.
I think it's the 6th.
Hang on.
We'll check.
No, it is because I have this. Hang on. It's not in. Those were the days.
How could Charlie miss it?
Because he prints them a month ahead of time, and sometimes they get updated. That's why. Interesting. David 5-0. David Maurice Robinson.
He's 59, man.
Great human being. So I'm only 2 years older than he is. All right. I like that.
I would be 5 years older than me.
Well, you're an old dude.
Exactly. Tim Walls is a whippersnapper to me.
I'm Rick James, bitch.
I miss Rick James.
You know what? He was a super freak.
He was my spirit animal.
He died on this day.
Did he really?
Yeah.
A sad day in
Back
America.
in 20 years ago, 2004.
There he is. This was on my time hop when 50 turned 50.
50
9
turns
years
50.
ago. 50 turns 50.
Chris.
9 years ago.
Chris. Stand by.
Okay. I'll mention to you Robinson here.
Okay, you want me to play this?
Oh, yeah, you got it?
David Robinson, #1 pick. Yep, I do.
All right, I'll set it up without giving his name.
Okay.
Toto, Bobby Kimball could sing the you know what out of any song. That's what he told me. Just ahead of headlines, traffic, and weather together on a Yacht Rock Tuesday. 59 years ago today, a great American was born, and I dare say, had he not been born at all on this day, I don't think we'd have a professional basketball team in this town anymore.
Amen.
The San Antonio Spurs select David Robinson from Navy.
David Maurice Robinson, born on August 6th, 1965. And we're glad we've got him in San Antonio. And he continues. I love it when a Spur has a huge impact and stays here in San Antonio. What a part of the community he has always been with his, Carver education
Carver Academy
initiatives and so much more. God love David Robinson. We love him. Charity McCurdy, what stories are you following?
Well, at least 5 U.S. personnel were injured in an attack against a military base in Iraq. Vice President Kamala Harris and her yet-to-be revealed running mate will hold a campaign rally in Philadelphia today. And X will be closing its San Francisco office with an eventual plan to move the X headquarters to Texas. We'll have the latest coming up right now, traffic and weather together.
Sunny skies today, tomorrow, Thursday. Hot all 3 days. 100 today. Forecast 103 tomorrow and on Thursday. It is 80 degrees at Randolph Air Force Base. 80 degrees at that sleepy little town down around San Antonio, China Grove. 79 right here in Stone Oak. WOEI News Time, 622.
San Antonio's first news on a Yacht Rock Tuesday, a Taco Tuesday. Big news Tuesday is we will learn this afternoon who Kamala Harris will choose as her running mate, and White House correspondent John Decker will be there to cover the rally. We'll talk to him at 6:40, see who he thinks will be that choice. And Charity, we've been asking people on our Talkback feature on the free iHeartRadio app to call their shot. You say it's Josh Shapiro, Pennsylvania governor. You say, Mr. T, it is Mark Kelly, the Arizona senator and former astronaut. And I say, Grandpa, Tim Walz of Minnesota, just because I think Kamala will have lost her mind. So Andrew Zimmel always gives me the look. Andrew's likes Tim Walz.
Yeah,
of,
big fan.
Minnesota.
Big fan.
So whenever I dog him, Andrew goes, you don't know what you're talking about, old man. You're older than Tim Walz is. So shut up and get off your own lawn. That's what he's thinking, Andrew Zimmel.
Out loud, yeah.
Exactly. But I can read his mind. He doesn't know that.
Well, it would be interesting if Kamala Harris announced Tim Walz as her running mate in Philadelphia. It's just kind of bizarre.
Yeah. Do they boo her?
Yeah, of course they do. It's Philadelphia. They boo everybody. They boo Santa Claus.
That's right. Good point. So, Charity, if anybody wants to get in touch with us, how do they leave us their thoughts?
The free iHeartRadio app, you launch it and search 1200 WOAI, hit that red talkback circle, 30 seconds. Let us know who will Harris's running mate be.
Well, we were talking about teachers in school not starting until after Labor Day. So our favorite school teacher did check back in.
Hey guys, I was listening to your comments after I said that we start today, teachers. The reason why we don't start after Labor Day anymore, it's because we take off for every single holiday. We take off for President's Day, Columbus Day. We here in Lotto, at least, we have a half day every month. We take off one Wednesday every month for a half day. We take off National Aardvark Day. I mean, you name it. We have so many holidays now.
And early releases, too. I couldn't get over the school calendar as a rookie mom of a public school kid. I was like, another early release day? Okay, we have to do the household scramble. Who's going to take care of the kid? Because the parents still have to work. You know, it's always an adventure.
Wow. All right. Well, we appreciate the clarification from Stephen in Lytle. Coming up, we've got White House correspondent John Decker. He'll be there in Philadelphia for the big reveal today. His thoughts headed in WOAI News Time 625.
And we're back.
Bobby Nieto, Travis, SWAT Cats,
Captain
Tim,
Gus, I love it.
Tommy Miller, Louis. It's
a great picture of Captain Gus, dude.
Yes. Oh, Captain, my Captain. And I'll say it again. I always say it. The original Captain Gus has passed. He's no longer with us.
Yep.
But Bill Taylor would be the new Captain Gus.
He could.
It would be huge.
Would be
3:30 every afternoon with Bill Taylor.
Great.
As the new Captain Gus.
I wonder what the legalities are of getting the cartoons and all that nowadays.
Good question.
Oh, I was going to look up, when is National Aardvark Day?
It's a great question.
Because I know people are wanting to know.
And we should have a special commemoration of National Aardvark Day.
Although I did like the aardvark on March 19th, by the way.
Damn it, we missed this year's National Aardvark Day.
You know, I did like the aardvark on the Pink Panther cartoon series. That was
very nice.
It was great, man. It was really good, really good. I liked it. I loved it. I want some more of it.
Okay, CNN's top 5 stories. Number 1, the Veep Stakes.
Veep Stakes.
Number 2, Tropical Storm Debbie. Number 3, the Middle East. Lil Debbie.
Lil Debbie.
Number 4, markets tumble. And number 5 story, Google.
Where is the Americans being injured in a rocket attack in Iraq?
CNN, Donald Trump will tell you, is fake news. They hate America.
With exploding balloons. I love that. Yeah, pink and blue. Who's pink and who's blue? That's what I want to know, Travis.
And way down there, China's moon samples reveal water molecules in a major discovery.
It's like they don't care anymore.
Yeah, they just don't. And they're so rude. They're interviewing. No, she was from ABC.
That's true.
The interviewer. But they're still so rude. Military tribunals are coming for every.
Travis, you're on to something.
CNN
Is why our
employee.
feed went down. It's because you mentioned Tracy Bogert, and all of a sudden it went away.
Exactly. I think Tracy Bogert sabotaged our live feed.
He did. He did. He'll never admit it, but he did. By the way, National Aardvark Day is March 19th. It's a holiday in Lytle, apparently.
Yes. Now, I know September is Talk Like a Pirate Day. I still want to do the entire show.
I couldn't.
Talking like a... Arr! All you got to do is say arr. Arr! Walk the plank, matey.
I could tell my Here comes Charity, everybody. Enjoy.
.30 is our time. San Antonio's first news. Good Tuesday morning. I'm Charity McCurdy. Among our top stories, at least 5 U.S. personnel have been hurt in a rocket attack in Iraq, and VP Kamala Harris's running mate will be revealed today. Details coming up. First, traffic and weather together every 10 minutes in mornings. Your Weather Channel forecast for this Tuesday, sunny and hot, a high of 100. Tonight's low in the upper 70s. Right now, 79 degrees. Well, an attack on a military base in western Iraq has left several Americans injured. Fox's Trey Ying says the latest on an increasingly violent Middle East.
Overnight, an Iran-backed militia targeted a base in western Iraq that houses American troops. Now, according to reports, multiple U.S. service members were injured in that attack, and we are waiting to get an update on their conditions. The attack marked the 219th time that U.S. forces were targeted in the Middle East since early October. And the timing of this incident that occurred at the Al-Assad Air Base in western Iraq couldn't have come at a more tense time. President Biden was at the White House being updated on the expected Iranian attack that is planned against Israel.
And Secretary of State Antony Blinken is calling for conflicts in the Middle East to ease amid the potential of a wider war.
All parties must refrain from escalation. All parties must take steps to ease tensions.
The threat of an attack comes 1 week after Hamas's top political leader was killed in the Iranian capital of Tehran. Well, all eyes are on the Veep Stakes as Kamala Harris is set to announce her running mate today. Fox's Kristen Goodwin has more on Decision 2024.
Vice President Kamala Harris telling supporters in a campaign text Monday they could sign up to get on an exclusive list to find out her vice presidential pick first. She's set to announce her running mate ahead of a campaign event in Philadelphia, meeting over the weekend with contenders Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, and Arizona Senator Mark Kelly. With Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker, Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear, and Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg also said to be on her short list. From Pennsylvania, Harris and her running mate will visit fellow battleground states this week: North Carolina, Georgia, Michigan, Wisconsin, Nevada, and Arizona. Kristen Goodwin, Fox News.
Charges have been dropped against a former San Antonio police officer accused of firing shots at 2 teens as they ran away from him. Oscar Cruz Jr. had been charged with deadly conduct as a result of the incident in March of 2020. He was indefinitely suspended from the police department later that year. A Bexar County District Court judge dismissed the case last Friday because prosecutors were not able to prove Cruz's guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. Tropical storm Debbie will continue to dump rain on the southeastern U.S. following its strike on Florida yesterday as a hurricane. Here's Fox's Eben Brown.
Tropical cyclones like Debbie leave a large amount of residents without power for at least a day as crews rush to restore service. Many have invested in home or portable generators running on gasoline, which sometimes can lead to death because of misuse. Never run a generator indoors. In fact, keep them away from the house.
20 feet away from any open door window. Make sure that you wait 20 minutes before refilling a generator.
Florida Emergency Manager Kevin Guthrie. It is also advised to wait for professionals to remove trees that fell on roofs or to drape roofs with tarps. In Broward County, Florida, Evan Brown, Fox News.
And Debbie is blamed for 5 deaths. A suspected street racer is in custody accused of an incident that injured his 12-year-old female passenger late Sunday night. Police say the crash happened around 11 p.m. on I-37 near Southeast Military Drive. The 18-year-old driver reportedly lost control during the race and drove into a grassy median. The girl was thrown out of the car and landed on top of an SUV in an apartment complex parking lot. She was hospitalized in critical condition. The driver is charged with racing on a highway, causing serious bodily injury. Well, it's not just sprinters and swimmers who get the spotlight during the Summer Olympics.
Some smaller sports that hardly get coverage are being thrust onto the world stage. One example is fencing. Fencing never gets the spotlight, but once every 4 years, it's broadcast into homes around the world. Chris Tyman with the fencing club at Texas State University says that creates a new legion of fans.
I think everyone's kind of excited to see it in the world stage because it is a kind of niche sport.
They've been using the games as a way to get people to think about picking up a saber. Last week, an American fencer made history. Lee Kiefer became the first to win gold medals at 2 consecutive Olympics. I'm Beth Myers, News Radio 1200 WOAI.
X will be closing its San Francisco office. According to the New York Times, the company announced internally yesterday the office will close with workers relocated somewhere else in the Bay Area. Owner Elon Musk has promised in the past to move the headquarters to Texas in response to a California law banning teachers from forcibly outing the gender identity of students. Well, the CDC is warning about a new spike in COVID cases in Texas.
The spike is based on wastewater testing, which shows a higher level of the virus compared to the past 2 years. Dr. Jason Bowling at UT Health San Antonio says one factor is a return to air travel, which took off during the summer.
There's more people traveling because of the intense heat outside. More people are gathered together indoors where we have less ventilation than outdoors.
A new vaccine booster is coming in late August or early September. In the future, Bowling says there will likely be a combined vaccine for COVID and the flu, which should help. I'm Rex Oates, News Radio 1200 WOAI.
A new statue of Jackie Robinson is dedicated in Wichita, Kansas. Hundreds of people gathered at McAdams Park yesterday to dedicate the new bronze statue portraying the first black player in Major League Baseball. The original statue was stolen and destroyed earlier this year. The man convicted of stealing the statue that stood outside a youth baseball field where League 42 plays was sentenced to 15 years in prison on theft and other charges on Friday. It is 6:37. Traffic and weather together in a minute, but first, a check of your money and the world of business. Ed Corey is live at the Bloomberg News Desk. All right, thanks, Ed. News at the top and bottom of every hour, along with breaking news as it happens. I'm Charity McCurdy. Here's traffic and weather.
San Antonio's first news. She's Charity McCurdy. That's Mr. T, Tim Merriman. I'm Chris Duell. Charlie Parker coming up with Those Were the Days at 6:48. Today is the big day in Philadelphia. Vice President Kamala Harris will reveal and take the stage with her choice for running mate as vice president on the Democratic ticket. And White House correspondent and attorney John Decker will be there at that rally. We are now hours away, maybe less, John, from learning who that might be. Who would you make your best guess on who the announcement will be today?
Well, if you speak to everyone in Philadelphia, they think it's their governor. It's Governor Josh Shapiro. And it certainly would be unusual to be kicking off your campaign with your running mate in a place like Philadelphia without choosing Josh Shapiro as your running mate. However, as you know, she interviewed 3 individuals over the weekend, face-to-face, including Mark Kelly, the senator from Arizona, the governor of Minnesota, Tim Walz, and Josh Shapiro. And we hear that she's narrowed down the list to the 2 governors. To me, I'm not going to go with Shapiro. I think it might be Walz, but ultimately it's up to the vice president. It's who she feels most comfortable with in terms of campaigning. And then if they win in November, also in terms of governance.
And John, the fact that Walz recently attacked Trump and Vance is weird, and that insult kind of went viral. That's been something the Harris campaign has embraced. Do you think that's why the winds perhaps may have shifted in Walz's direction?
Yeah, it's really interesting because he really was at this process when it began in earnest just a week and a half or so ago. He really was seen as the dark horse candidate. But now he's emerged as one of 2 possibilities in terms of who will be the running mate. Earlier today, I was in the arena where this announcement, where this campaign rally will take place. There's no signage in the arena right now to give you a clue, to give you a hint at all. Now, there will be when we likely are brought back in around 2:00 in the afternoon. But, if you're looking for a hint, just, based upon some signage that would be in the arena, you're out of luck because it wasn't there at 4:20 a.m. this morning as I was getting our position on the riser for the event this afternoon.
Well, since she's doing this announcement in Pennsylvania, and if she doesn't pick Governor Josh Shapiro, well, the people of Pennsylvania, especially Philadelphia, they've got some really, let's say, rude people that follow things. I've seen them boo Santa Claus, man. This might not go over well for her.
That's a good point. I can't argue with that. And this comes from somebody who grew up in Philadelphia, so I can attest to what you're talking about. I know exactly what you're talking about. They call it the Philly edge.
Okay.
And it's a real thing. But I think that Philadelphians would have to get over it, and the best way to get over it is looking at the person who is passed over. If indeed Josh Shapiro is passed over, if he handles it well and says, "Don't worry about me, I'm okay," then I think that they'd be okay with it as well for those people who would be inclined to vote for Kamala Harris for president. But look, it's one of those things where it's pretty remarkable. Wouldn't you agree that they've kept this such a secret for as long as they've kept this so close to the vest that we are the day of the announcement and we still don't know who this person will be.
Now, John, moments ago, you said that this choice is up to the vice president. There are people, including some of our listeners, one left us a message today and said Obama will make the choice. Are there greater powers that be in the Democratic Party who pull the strings, who heavily advise Kamala Harris who this pick should be? Or do you think she is totally autonomous to make this pick?
Oh, I think she listens to others, as anyone would, but the decision ultimately is up to her. No one's going to tell her who to pick. And, she served as vice president for the past 3.5 years. So she knows what she'd like in a vice president, given that she holds the job right now, and the way she would like that person to help govern if they win in November. But she also has to look at the political calculus. What does this individual that she chooses bring to the table? Is it a state like Pennsylvania? Is it, states if it's Waltz in the Midwest? Is it perhaps a border state? We're talking about Arizona and Mark Kelly. I wouldn't rule him out entirely, even though some news reports have done just that. To me, he certainly would be a great candidate on a ticket, given his background and given the fact that he does represent a border state, which, of course, is a big issue. Border security, such a big issue this election cycle.
And John, interesting that Trump's running mate, J.D. Vance, apparently plans to follow Harris for 3 days and across 4 swing states for media appearances. You think that's a deliberate attempt to distract from the Harris campaign?
Well, it's an attempt. There's an event that will take place in South Philadelphia a little bit later this morning. I won't be able to attend that because I'll be at the Harris event and preparing for that in the afternoon. But, it certainly will get some media attention. It's difficult, however, to get the same type of media attention that the vice president will have, given how important this decision is that she's making. It's the most important decision that she will make during the course of this campaign. Her vice presidential choice, her running mate.
Now, John, before we let you go, Team USA back in action today in the Olympics, taking on Brazil. Charles Barkley says that if Team USA does not win a gold medal, they should not be allowed to come back into the country. How do you feel about that?
Well, there is the MVP of the Dream Team saying that. And he was way back in 1992, Charles Barkley. And he is, to me, such an NBA great. But he's right. Look at the talent on that squad. If they do not bring back the gold, it's pretty embarrassing. And I realize that the world is caught up in a lot of ways to the talent that we have, the homegrown talent in the United States. Having said all that, look at that squad. It is the all-star of all-star teams. They should be bringing home the gold, and they should be winning every game by 20 points.
Amen.
He will be in the room where it happens this afternoon in Philadelphia, where Kamala Harris will reveal her choice for running mate. He is White House correspondent and attorney John Decker. Charlie Parker next with Those Were the Days, WOAI News Time 647.
And we're back.
Hey,
I can't
everybody.
See. My computer is completely hosed.
I'm Logan Stewart with WOAI News and comments on that news. Hola a todos mis amigos.
I've got to close everything and reopen it, man. My computer's been hosed.
Thank you for finding us. Our original feed went south due to sabotage by Tracy Bogart. We know you did it, Tracy.
We can't prove it, but we know it.
And once Trump is elected, Tracy, you sir,
watch out, sir.
will face a military tribunal. We'll put you on the same tribunal with Lynn Cheney and Mitt Romney, the three of you. And we'll have the like Putin has in Russia, the little glass rooms. No sitting. You got to stand in that glass room
the entire time.
Things are going to change.
Mr.
Tracy Bogart.
He's going to get audited first.
Yes, yeah. The IRS is coming after you. Man, I think it's called American. I'm 3 out of 4 episodes in on Netflix. I think it's called Americans because the octopus murders.
Yeah.
Freaking incredible.
That's what I hear, man.
And moral to the story, if you ever uncover a government plot at the highest levels of government,
move.
Don't pursue it unless you want to die. American Conspiracy, the octopus murders on Netflix. Highly, 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 highly recommend it.
The second attack, there were 2 more victims at a wash tub in San Antonio, Loop 1604 near Highway 281. That's that one right up here.
Jesus. Wow.
Wow.
What's he got against the wash tub?
He doesn't like spots on his windows, man. That'll teach you.
We're about to do a story.
Yeah, it's amazing.
A dude has been arrested for putting explosives underneath toilet seats that are activated with pressure. So when you would sit on the toilet seat at the wash tub, explosions, people have been injured.
Oh, he's seen on security cameras entering and leaving the bathroom, sitting in the lobby, watching the bathroom door, and then leaving the area after the explosions. So he wanted to watch.
Oh, my God.
What a sick puppy, man.
God.
Wow. His bond was set at $50,000, man. That's pretty high.
The accused is 46-year-old Paul Moses Alden. Kind of blaspheming the name of Moses there.
Typical.
The original Moses.
Moses bad guys
Malone.
seem to use the three names, though.
Yeah,
you know,
Paul Moses Alden.
John Wayne Gacy.
Yeah.
Come on.
Lee Harvey Oswald.
Henry Lee Lucas. Come on.
Andrew Bartholomew Zimmel. I mean, come on.
Is that his middle name?
E.J. Aloysius Pacheco. Come on now.
Aloysius is a great middle name.
Yes.
Sorry.
Decker's so good.
He is good.
God, he's good.
Oh, he's a regular customer who used a membership card, and they have video of his vehicle and license plate. Wow. Oh, they did share a statement from the wash tub. Hang on.
Yeah, not good PR for the wash tub. But now that he's...
We are pleased with the quick action of the SAPD and the arson investigators working on this case. We will continue to fully cooperate with SAPD and the district attorney's office.
Do you believe I have wash tub coupons with me?
Oh, we should give them away. No, I'm just kidding. Well, the chances of this happening...
Amazing we have them in-house.
The chances of this happening again, Chris, you do. I'll be damned.
Damn right I do. My wash tub coupons.
A 3-pack. Are there... Okay, you still have
one left.
You have one left. Good.
We should give it away. Because you're right. The odds of that happening now.
Yeah.
In fact, I may go use the toilet today.
You should,
And
Chris.
I'll make a video for our Instagram. Hey, I feel very confident sitting here right now. No, there's that great scene in The World According to Garth with Robin Williams.
Oh, God,
the
what a movie.
plane crashes into the house and he goes, honey, let's buy it.
Yeah.
The odds
You
of
have to
another
have it-
airplane ever hitting this house are astronomical.
I read that book in summer school.
Damn.
Summer school at Holmes
So
High
good.
School, and I loved the book. And I went and
Wow.
saw the movie, and I thought I was going to be very upset that the movie wouldn't do it justice. The movie was great.
I love the movie. John Lithgow
haven't
as
watched that.
Roberta
Oh, I know.
Muldoon. I used to be a tight end for the Philadelphia Eagles. I had big hands.
When he would coast down the street with the lights off and everything and roll into the driveway and he hits him.
Oh, she bites. Yeah. Now, if Officer Keith was there.
Oh, God.
See how everything's connected?
It
We had
is.
that story now.
All right.
Everything is connected.
All right, everybody, hang on. Here's Charity with the headlines. We'll be right back.
And here are some of the stories we're following for you. At least 5 U.S. personnel were injured in an attack against a military base in Iraq. Vice President Kamala Harris will hold a campaign rally in Philadelphia today with her soon-to-be announced running mate. And the CDC is warning about a new COVID variant that's doubled in the U.S. in the last 2 weeks. We'll have the latest coming up right now, traffic and weather together.
Sunny skies today, tomorrow, Thursday, probably Friday, Saturday, Sunday as well. But right now, we're just giving you 3 days. Highs today, 100. Highs tomorrow and Thursday, 103. It is 80 degrees in Cibolo, 80 in Lavernia, and 79 right here in Stone Oak. WOAI News Time, 6:54.
Peg by Steely Dan, a
Love me some
classic.
Steely Dan.
Love Steely Dan too. On a Yacht Rock Tuesday, San Antonio's first news. Our thanks to Charlie Parker for those were the days. He'll be in studio at 8:20. I'm sure he'll have some things on his mind he would like to share with the class. That's Mr. T, Tim Merriman. She's Charity McCurdy. I'm Chris Duell. You know, there are crimes and there are criminals, and there are some crimes that make you go, are you kidding me? What was he thinking? Charity and Mr. T, we've been looking at this story. A Helotes man is accused of planting explosives at multiple wash tub car washing. I'm a customer of the wash tub. I just showed Mr. T. I got a coupon book in my bag here in the studio. I love the wash tub. Charity, according to police, this gentleman, a 46-year-old, is accused of going into the wash tub and putting explosives underneath the toilet seats that were activated by pressure, so that when someone would sit on the toilet seat, the explosive would activate, and apparently it did cause some minor injuries. And as a patron of the wash tub, even if I weren't, my God, this is a troubling story.
It really is, but credit to SAPD for their quick work and nabbing 46-year-old Paul Moses Alden. He was caught on security cameras entering and leaving the bathroom, sitting in the lobby watching the bathroom door, and then leaving the area after the explosion. But the physical evidence left behind at both scenes is the same. So all signs point to SAPD getting the right guy. The only issue I have is he was basically in and out of jail the same day after posting $50,000 bond.
Yeah, and look, I'll be honest with you, and everybody else, you can raise your hand if you agree with me. If you're going into a public toilet now, will you look under the toilet seat before you sit down?
From now on.
Yes, I mean, seriously.
I'm lifting that seat.
That's all I could think about when I read this story was, oh my God. And he went to two separate wash tub locations, and one is right down the road here at 281 and 1604. I mean, that's a sick individual.
Yeah, and the other one, the attack happened July 20th on Bandera Road in Helotes. He's reportedly from Helotes. Just the stupid crimes that are committed and the horrible things that human beings will do to other human beings. I can't understand the mind of a criminal. And again, allegedly innocent until proven guilty. We know that. But if these charges are true, Charity, just the mind of someone who would want to commit crimes like this.
Yeah, I mean, among the people that were injured were a little girl, and apparently these fireworks are commercial fireworks that are readily available.
Right.
So again, is this some sick joke? Did he think that this was somehow entertaining? I don't understand. I don't think we ever will.
I blame Jackass, the TV show. I mean, seriously,
or just the internet in
had
general.
to get this idea from something. And I'm with you, Charity. I don't think a $50,000 bond and being able to get out right away is enough.
No. And you injured a little girl.
Yeah.
Now, we know that should this guy go to prison, and if these charges are true, I think he should, other prisoners don't take kindly.
Jailhouse justice.
Jailhouse justice is often administered if you do harm to children. I mean, that's of this entire story. And obviously, this should not happen to an adult victim, but Charity, to happen to a little girl, and you're a mom of young children, that is just horrific.
It really is. And I guess, do we have to have tighter security for bathrooms now? I mean, is it like when you go to the convenience store in some rural area where they hand you the restroom key attached to the toilet seat so they know who is going in and out of these bathrooms?
Yes.
I mean, I don't know what it's going to take.
Now, have you ever accidentally left that key that is attached to the toilet seat in the bathroom?
How can you? My God,
I did it. I
really?
did it. Yeah, I did it after a Spurs game at Valero. They handed me this big thing with the key on it, and for some reason, I left it in there and shut the door when I was coming out, and I went, "Uh-oh!" And that lady yelled at me, and I was like, "Man, I'm sorry. I didn't do it on purpose.
You can say, well, it didn't leave explosives. It could've been-
Exactly. Thank you.
But I mean, there was a time when you didn't have the warnings on coffee cups that they could contain hot
beverages.
liquid. Now we're going to need disclaimers.
Yeah.
Please,
I'm looking.
Please
Trust
check
me, I'm
toilet seat
looking.
for explosives.
Yeah, I'm looking.
Yeah, if you're not looking for hidden cameras in a bathroom,
God,
you're looking
yeah,
for
great. Now I've got other
explosives.
things to look for.
Well,
too.
and I'm surprised Freak Boy here didn't install hidden cameras so they could watch
They
this.
might want to go back and re-look in those locations.
And while and God love the wash tub, there it's a great company.
It is.
And now this alleged criminal is off the street, so it is safe to go back to the wash tub. Everybody, just making sure you know that. Lots more coming up in a segment we call "Wait Till You Hear This." Sean Elliott on his AFib, his Apple Watch, letting him know that he had a health issue. We'll get into that coming up at 7:10. But first, charity right now with everything you need to know on this Yacht Rock Tuesday. WOAI News Time is 7 o'clock.
Seven o'clock is our time. San Antonio's first news. Good Tuesday morning. I'm Charity McCurdy. Among our top stories, U.S. personnel injured in a rocket attack in western Iraq, and VP Kamala Harris set to reveal her running mate today. Details coming up. Right now, traffic and weather together every 10 minutes in mornings. Your Weather Channel forecast for this Tuesday: sunny and hot, a high of 100. Tonight's low in the upper 70s. Right now, 80 degrees. Well, fighting in the Middle East is intensifying as Israel prepares for more attacks from Iran proxy groups. Fox's Trey Yinks reports from Israel.
As Israel braces for an attack from Iran and its proxies, the largest proxy in the region, Hezbollah, in southern Lebanon, just launched a rocket and drone attack into northern Israel, just a few miles from where we're standing right now. According to reports from first responders, 2 people were injured by shrapnel, 1 critically wounded and taken to a local hospital. But it gives you a sense that while Israel is preparing for that larger conflict, they're still being attacked on a daily basis. We're also following this other update out of the region overnight. An Iran-backed militia targeting a base in western Iraq that houses American forces.
And several U.S. personnel were injured during the rocket attack in Iraq. The White House says President Biden has been briefed on the incident. Tropical storm Debbie continues to make its way north after making landfall as a Category 1 hurricane yesterday in Florida's Big Bend area. The National Hurricane Center says Debbie is moving across southeastern Georgia at just 7 miles per hour, with forecasts warning of major, possibly historic flooding throughout the southeast over the next several days. At least 5 deaths, 4 in Florida, another in Georgia, have already been blamed on the storm. Well, speculation continues about who Vice President Kamala Harris is picking as her running mate. Fox's Brian Yennis has more on Decision 2024 from Philadelphia.
The 2 names everyone's talking about at this point as the finalists are Minnesota Governor Tim Walz and Pennsylvania's Governor Josh Shapiro. Shapiro's seen as the more moderate pick for Harris. He was the former state attorney general here twice before winning the governorship by 15 points in 2022, albeit over an underfunded and more extreme opponent. In fact, Shapiro in 2022 outperformed President Biden's 2020 numbers in all of Pennsylvania's 67 counties. His biggest asset is his ability to potentially deliver a win here in Pennsylvania, which is seen as a must-win state for Harris.
Harris is set to appear alongside her running mate for the first time during a rally in Philadelphia today, where the pair will kick off a cross-country tour. Meantime, Trump is vowing not to debate Kamala Harris unless she agrees to a debate on Fox News. Here's Fox's Kevin Cork.
This is sort of back and forth. You either love or hate, depending on how much you appreciate political gamesmanship. Now, on Truth Social, President Trump proclaimed this: Kamala Harris doesn't have the mental capacity to do a real debate against me, scheduled for September 4th in Pennsylvania. She's afraid to do it because there's no way she can justify her corrupt and open borders, the environmental destruction of our country, the Afghanistan embarrassment, runaway inflation, terrible economy, high interest rates and taxes, and her years-long fight to stop the words Merry Christmas. I'll see her on September 4th, or I won't see her at all.
Well, the one Texas Ranger targeted for firing as a result of the bungled police response to the Uvalde school shooting in 2022 has now been reinstated. Texas Ranger Christopher Kendall has been suspended from duty in January of last year. Colonel Steve McCraw, head of Texas DPS, removed Kendall from suspension on Friday and reinstated him to his position in Uvalde County. McCraw says he rethought his decision after studying the results of the Texas Ranger criminal investigation and internal review of the actions of DPS officers and the Uvalde County Grand Jury's review of the police response. Well, SpaceX says its next launch of the Starship prototype could include a noisy finish. The company announced its next launch will feature an attempt to recover the vehicle's Super Heavy booster at the Boca Chica Beach launch pad. SpaceX says slowing down the booster to make recovery possible will create one or more sonic booms over South Texas. The next launch is expected later this month or early next month. Well, a major stock market sell-off extended around the world yesterday. Here's Fox's Hillary Barsky.
It was a Monday that began with stocks plunging around the globe, reminiscent of the stock market crash of 1987. The major averages did end the trading day sharply lower on recession worries, with the Dow falling 1,034 points, the Nasdaq down 576, S&P 500 lower by 160. The sell-off follows weak economic data last week, including Friday's soft jobs report for July. Investors are worried that the Fed has pressed the brakes on the economy by doing too much for too long through high interest rates in hopes of tackling hot inflation. High-flying tech stocks, which outperformed earlier this year, were among the worst decliners, while Wall Street's fear gauge spiked to the highest level in 4 years.
It is 7:06, news at the top and bottom of every hour, along with breaking news as it happens. I'm Charity McCurdy, traffic and weather coming up.
Gino Vanelli on a Yacht Rock Tuesday.
Nice hair.
Yeah, he had great hair.
On his chest and his head.
Yes. He was like a chia pet.
He was.
His entire body was like a chia pet. Gino Vitelli. Coming up, strange morning. Coming up, Sean Elliott. Did his Apple Watch save him from what could have been a life-threatening issue? We'll hear from Sean Elliott on a segment we call Wait Till You Hear This in just a few moments. Other big guests coming up in the 7 o'clock hour, 7:20. Mike Opelka from the Pure Opelka podcast, his thoughts on the morning's big stories, and national correspondent Rory O'Neill, the latest on that attack on a U.S. base in Iraq. But first, let's get you caught up on traffic and weather together.
Sunny skies and hot today, tomorrow, and on Thursday. Highs 100 today, over 100. Forecast right now at 103 tomorrow and on Thursday. 79 degrees in Floresville, 79 at the Pearl, and 78 right here in Stone Oak. WOAI News Time, 7:10.
Thank you, Todd Rundgren, on a Yacht Rock Tuesday. San Antonio's First News, Charity McCurdy, Mr. T, Tim Merriman. Charlie Parker will join us at 8:20 in studio. EJ Pacheco and Andrew Zimmel on his birthday eve, making the entire broadcast go. I'm Chris. Every morning, weekday morning at this time, we span the globe to bring you the constant variety of audio in a segment we call Wait Till You Hear This. Now, as we reported a number of days ago, Spurs legend Sean Elliott was alerted by his Apple Watch that he might have an issue with his heart. Here on Wait Till You Hear This, he talks with KSAT 12's RJ Marquez.
Describe a little, what exactly were you noticing from your Apple Watch? I know you said that if you can just go ahead and tell us about people reaching out to you and saying that, you know what, they're now going to maybe get an Apple Watch.
Yeah, I've gotten a few texts
So
like,
how did
I'm
that
going to
even
get one
start?
now.
What was it?
Well, I mean, my watch kept telling me you're in atrial fibrillation. They just kept telling me over and over again. And I said, there's no way, I feel fine. I mean, I don't feel anything in my chest. I had no symptoms at all. And so I just, for the first couple days, 4 or 5 days, it just blew it off. But one morning, it just was really adamant and told me 2 or 3 times. And I said, okay, I'm going to call Dr. Triana. And I texted him. I said, hey, Doc, my Apple Watch tells me I'm an AFib. And he says, get in here right away for an EKG. He actually called me and said, hey, I need you to come in and just come right to the back and we're going to run EKG. And sure enough, I was an AFib.
So Dr. Triano, what prompted you to kind of make sure that you relayed that message to Sean that he's got to get in as soon as possible?
Well, Sean's such a nice guy. He has my telephone number, but he calls me about every 4 or 5 years for something. But that day he called and said the Apple Watch is sending this message. And these days, with these new wearable devices that are able to detect things that are happening with our body, how much we sleep, how fast we're blinking, how much we're moving, how many steps, this specific algorithm for detection of an arrhythmia, in this case atrial fibrillation, is fairly accurate. So when he called me, and I get several calls of this per month, it's very easy for me to make the decision is come over. This is not the medical device what you have in your wrist, but it could detect atrial fibrillation. I need to make sure that you're okay. So sure enough, I told him, come over, we'll do an EKG, and 1 out of 4, 1 out of 5 is really imperative that we detect the arrhythmia. And in Sean's case, we did the EKG, he was in atrial fibrillation, and then we went to work, and we did the standard things. Sounds like a lot of just action from my part, but it was really Sean and his watch. You know, he made the diagnosis. I just confirmed it, and then we proceeded with the treatment.
Sean Elliott, his doctor, and KSAT 12's RJ Marquez talking, Charity, about what his Apple Watch revealed to Sean Elliott. He was in atrial fibrillation.
Yeah, and symptoms for AFib are usually dizziness, chest pain, fatigue, shortness of breath. Sean Elliott didn't have any of those symptoms. It was just his Apple Watch, and thank goodness he followed up on that because apparently it had been going off for a while before he actually decided to call his cardiologist. But it turns out AFib is very common. It's a common heartbeat irregularity in the United States. It's estimated like 9 million Americans live with chronic AFib. So it's something to pay close attention to. I know in my family, a cousin of mine that I'm really close with recently went through this and had the health scare. And it turns out he was an AFib.
Yeah, and Apple Watches are amazing. We got one for my mom because it also has a feature if you fall, it will alert.
That's another
people
great
that
feature.
need to know. And this is amazing. It really is.
And technology just continues to improve all the time. Thank goodness. Coming up, Mike Opelka from the Pure Opelka podcast, his take on the morning's big stories, including the story we're awaiting on Kamala Harris with the big reveal later today in Philadelphia. WOAI News Time 7:16. Just ahead of headlines, traffic, and weather together, then Mike Opelka from the Pure Opelka podcast. But first, Charity, what stories are you tracking?
The Veep Stakes mystery will be over as Kamala Harris will unveil her running mate today. At least 5 Americans have been injured in a rocket attack at a U.S. military base in Iraq. And Texas DPS has reinstated a ranger who was targeted for termination after the Uvalde school shooting. We'll have the latest coming up right now, traffic and weather together.
Sunny skies today, tomorrow, Thursday, all 3 days, highs 100 or more. Right now it is 79 degrees in Bernie, 79 in Von Ormy, and 78 here in Stone Oak. WOAI News Time, 7:19.
San Antonio's first news every weekday morning at this time. We mind meld with Mike Opelka from the Pure Opelka podcast. He's brought to us by Randy Adams Incorporated. All right, Mike, the big reveal will be this afternoon in Philadelphia. Kamala Harris will pick and reveal her running mate. Last chance for you to call your shot. Josh Shapiro, Tim Walz, or Mark Kelly. Who's it going to be?
Well, I figured you guys would be mocking me because it looks like the wind is, or the air's out of the Kelly balloon.
Yeah.
But I still think there could be a surprise. It seems like all the progressives are begging her to pick Tim Walz, the governor of Minnesota. And if that's the reality, I think she's a bigger loser than with any of the other two. So it's a risky claim, but I think the wise move, if I were advising the Democrats as a Democrat, would be Mark Kelly. But smart money's on Walz this morning.
And Mike, do you believe that Kamala hadn't made her final decision about her running mate until last night or even this morning, as some are reporting?
No, I think she's been told what the decision is. I'm going to sleep on it. I just don't know. Really, honestly, stop. No. She's been told.
Yeah, dude, we won a gold medal in surfing.
Dude, not only that, it was one of our girls won a gold medal. I'm sorry, a woman. Yeah, the Olympics have been so much fun to watch.
They have, man.
I pushed all the wokeness aside, and I'm just focusing on it. I'm glad we caught China in gold medals, and we should, based on the number of sports remaining, be able to maintain that lead and come home with not just the most medals, but the most gold.
And Mike, we've been advised by one of our financial reporters not to look at our 401ks for now with what's been going on with the stock market. Now, there was a little bit of a rebound in Japan, but what do you think's going on, and how critical is this moment financially?
Well, it is critical. I think every moment going forward is critical, especially after those couple of days. It wasn't just Monday. It was Thursday, Friday, and Monday that saw significant weakness in the markets. And all of this is driven by those 7 stocks that have been driving the market surge anyway. So first of all, who's got a 401k? Mine's a 301k. I checked it earlier. I know
mine's just a 4K.
Yeah. It looks like Japan had a bit of a rebound after a record-setting drop. And even if we go up 500 points today, we're still down over 1,000 points in the last 3 days of trading. This could be a correction. This also is regularly happening in the summer months. July and August are kind of correcting months, but never in election years has the market had a significant drop, and that has not hurt the incumbent party. So that's something to keep your eyes on. And we also don't know who's pulling the strings really at the financial ends of things to try and maybe change the prime lending rate. Watch for a change in the rate.
And Mike, with American troops coming under attack in Iraq, the world is waiting to see how the Biden administration will respond. How do you see it playing out?
Well, they had a meeting. We had a meeting. So that was a meeting. Kamala was there for a while, and then they sent her home, and the meeting continued, which was kind of interesting yesterday afternoon. We do have significant assets in the region, Charity. What I noticed was the rocket attack on the base where we have troops was very brief. So, yes, a few of our Americans were injured, but it wasn't like it was an all-out attack. And we now have significant military assets in the region, and I think both Yemen and Lebanon and Iran have been warned, don't. That didn't work with Putin, but it might work with Iran.
So thank God for SpaceX, because supplies finally got to the space station, because Boeing's rocket is a fail.
Yeah, it's not a good look for Boeing when your planes aren't exactly having a good record, and then your space rocket isn't doing well. I was watching the SpaceX launch yesterday. This is the 74th rocket they have launched this year. Yeah. And just watching it and the way they recycle the launch engines, those things come back to a soft landing on Earth. The rocket that launched that huge capsule up to the space station, that's the 10th time we've used it. We used to throw those things away. So at least we're recycling them.
And finally, Mike, Comic-Con is a big thing. Apparently now, inspired by J.D. Vance's comments, we have CatCon. Will you be covering this convention?
I wish. The whole put a con on the end of everything is starting to wear me out. It's almost like we put a gate on every scandal. Oh, it's Watergate. It's Druggate. It's what. But now we put a con on everything. There are a group of cat ladies who got together with all the other cat fans, and they're actually singing cat songs.
Wait.
Cat lady songs.
What's a cat lady song?
I would play it for you, but some of them contain language that you'd have to bleep.
Is there hissing involved?
Anti-J.D. Vance songs. But needless to say, it's folky music with some senior citizen ladies singing about their anger about abortion.
On the next ApelkaCon.
Yeah, you know what? We need to do a PelkaCon.
Yes.
I think
at Trinity University.
At Trinity
University, yes.
Yeah, you do the appearance at Trinity. We'll show up, man. It'll be great.
My reunion is happening. I think it's the end of October. We might stay tuned for an announcement.
Ooh, PelkaCon in October.
In San Antonio.
I love it. It'll be the October surprise.
Yeah, it'll be a shock to my system. But yeah, I might wander the halls of TU again. Stay tuned for OpelkaCon.
I like it.
I love it.
We will be in place. You can get more Mike Opelka, not only at OpelkaCon, but from the Pure Opelka podcast. Get it wherever you get your podcast. We recommend the free iHeartRadio app. Another episode will drop this morning. You don't want to miss it. Mike is brought to us by Randy Adams Incorporated. Coming up at 7:40, national correspondent Rory O'Neill on that attack on that U.S. military base in Iraq. WOAI News Time, 7:26.
7:32 is our time. San Antonio's first news. Good Tuesday morning. I'm Charity McCurdy. Among our top stories, at least 5 U.S. personnel have been hurt in a rocket attack in Iraq, and VP Kamala Harris's running mate will be announced today. Details coming up. First, traffic and weather together every 10 minutes in mornings. Your Weather Channel forecast for this Tuesday: sunny and hot, a high of 100. Tonight's low in the upper 70s. Right now, 79 degrees. Well, an attack on a military base in western Iraq has left several Americans injured. Fox's Trey Yingst has more on an increasingly violent Middle East.
Overnight, an Iran-backed militia targeted a base in western Iraq that houses American troops. Now, according to reports, multiple U.S. service members were injured in that attack, and we are waiting to get an update on their conditions. The attack marked the 219th time that U.S. forces were targeted in the Middle East since early October. And the timing of this incident that occurred at the Al-Assad Air Base in western Iraq couldn't have come at a more tense time. President Biden was at the White House being updated on the expected Iranian attack that is planned against Israel.
And Secretary of State Antony Blinken is calling for conflicts in the Middle East to ease amid the potential of a wider war.
All parties must refrain from escalation. All parties must take steps to ease tensions.
The threat of an attack comes 1 week after Hamas's top political leader was killed in the Iranian capital of Tehran. Well, all eyes are on the Veep stakes as Kamala Harris is set to announce her running mate today. Fox's Kristen Goodwin has more on Decision 2024.
Vice President Kamala Harris telling supporters in a campaign text Monday they could sign up to get on an exclusive list to find out her vice presidential pick first. She's set to announce her running mate ahead of a campaign event in Philadelphia, meeting over the weekend with contenders Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, and Arizona Senator Mark Kelly. With Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker, Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear, and Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg also said to be on her short list. From Pennsylvania, Harris and her running mate will visit fellow battleground states this week: North Carolina, Georgia, Michigan, Wisconsin, Nevada, and Arizona. Kristen Goodwin, Fox News.
Well, the trial over whether the federal government can order Texas to remove a buoy barrier in the Rio Grande is postponed until at least November. Governor Abbott ordered the installation of the 1,000-foot-long chain of buoys last year as part of the state's effort to deter illegal immigration. The government claimed the buoys violate federal law by interfering with the river's navigability. An appeals court ruled last week that they could stay put while the court challenge plays out. The trial had been scheduled to begin today. Well, Hurricane Debbie is bringing a storm surge and a large supply of cocaine. Fox's Gary Baumgarten has more.
More than $1 million worth of cocaine washed up on a beach in the Florida Keys, courtesy of Hurricane Debbie. The U.S. Border Patrol confiscating the haul after a Good Samaritan stumbled upon it and called. While cocaine and other hard drugs sometimes make their way to the shore, law enforcement officials say more often it's bales of marijuana, and that sometimes the person who finds it doesn't report it. Gary Baumgarten, Fox News.
And Debbie is moving across southeastern Georgia with forecast warning of major flooding throughout the southeast over the next several days. At least 5 deaths have already been blamed on the storm. Charges have been dropped against a former San Antonio police officer accused of firing shots at 2 teens as they ran away from him. Oscar Cruz Jr. had been charged with deadly conduct as a result of an incident in March of 2020. He was indefinitely suspended from the police department later that year. A Bexar County County District Court judge dismissed the case last Friday because prosecutors were not able to prove Cruz's guilt beyond reasonable doubt. Well, the only Texas State Police officer suspended for the failed response to the school shooting in Uvalde has now been reinstated. Here's Chris Fox.
Texas Department of Public Safety Director Colonel Steve McCraw reversing the nearly 2-year paid suspension of Texas Ranger Christopher Ryan Kendall, despite McCraw's original assessment of the job his officers did.
There's compelling evidence that the law enforcement response to the attack at Robb Elementary was an abject failure.
Kendall, one of more than 300 officers that waited 77 minutes before taking down the gunman. State Representative Roland Gutierrez calling for more accountability.
Clearly, there is no intent to further any more investigations or any criminal charges against anybody. The fix is in.
In Austin, Chris Fox, News Radio 1200 WOAI.
It is 7:38. Traffic and weather together in a minute, but first, to check of your money and the world of business. Ed Corey is live at the Bloomberg News Desk. All right, thanks, Ed. News at the top and bottom of every hour, along with breaking news as it happens. I'm Charity McCurdy. Here's traffic and weather.
Chicago on a Yacht Rock Tuesday. I'm actually going to see them in August 24th in Houston.
Beautiful.
Along with Earth, Wind, and Fire. So there's
Right
that.
on.
Welcome into Yacht Rock Tuesday. Well, an attack on a U.S. military base in Iraq. Several U.S. personnel reported injured. Let's get the latest from national correspondent Rory O'Neill. Rory, what do we know about this attack?
Yeah, not much, but we believe the injured are a mix of U.S. service members plus private contractors working there. This happened at the Al-Assad Air Base, as you said, in Iraq. It's significant because that is an Iraqi-controlled base, but the U.S. and other international forces all use it. We believe that the attack was carried out by a militia that is supported by Iran, and this may be one of the first steps. It may be related to their overall response to Israel taking action inside Tehran take out a top leader of Hamas.
And Rory, the question now becomes how can the U.S. respond without further escalating tensions in the Middle East, but also sending a powerful message at the same time?
Yeah, it's look, this is the difficult negotiation that's underway. Israel took this, you could be termed as an aggressive action to go after this Hamas leader on Iranian soil, which is the big part of this, embarrassing Iran significantly because of a security lapse. But at the same week, Israel also took out a top Hezbollah leader in Beirut, Lebanon. So we have seen some significant strikes by Israeli forces, and we expect Iran to respond in some way. The question is, do they do it by themselves? Do they enlist their proxies that they fund and provide weapons to, like Hezbollah, like Hamas? Exactly the scale, scope, timing of their response, all a bit unknown. You go back to April when Iran launched that massive strike against Israel involving hundreds of drones and missiles. Iran actually telegraphed what they were doing. They said, hey, it's going to happen Sunday. It's going to happen from this direction. And they gave everyone a few days notice to prepare. We're not getting those kinds of signals this time around.
And I know that President Biden met with the national security team before this attack, and he was, I guess, briefed on this attack afterwards. What happened in that meeting?
Yeah, we don't know a whole lot of the details, but I think it really was just a photo op. Essentially, It was a chance to show President Biden alongside Vice President Harris, not surprising, as they released the photo to show the vice president is keyed in on some of these critical moments. I think briefings like this happen quite frequently, but considering the political theater of the time, I think that's why the photo was made public.
Yeah, Rory, I heard a statistic in a news report earlier this morning that blew my mind. Since October of last year, there have been 219 attacks on U.S. personnel in the Middle East. I'm a little surprised there hasn't been more of a U.S. response against those who are attacking our service members. Any sense on why we tend not to respond to these attacks in a big way?
Yeah, a lot of them, by the way, are failed attacks. So in many cases, like, for instance, they target this al-Assad base, the one that was hit in Iraq all the time. But most of the time, the rocket attacks come up short. In this case, 2 rockets got through, or closer to got through, to close enough anyway to injure people. So in most cases, this is something that is quickly disregarded. And then the U.S. doesn't want to respond overwhelmingly out of fear of triggering a larger response.
Our thanks to national correspondent Rory O'Neill. As we roll forward, we'll get you caught up on headlines, traffic, and weather. Charlie Parker in studio at 8:20. WOAI News Time, 7:45.
And we're back.
Coming up, we'll play you audio from Charles Barkley on Paul George's podcast, where Sir Charles says, if Team USA loses in the Olympics, does not bring home the gold, they should not be allowed back in the United States. Sleepy, welcome. Connie, welcome. Kay, welcome. Travis, those are the ones I see on the screen. If you are with us in the chat, welcome. Eric, welcome.
Apparently, Travis says we curse a lot. That's why we weren't talking to him.
We curse a lot.
I heard Mr. T drop an F-bomb a while back.
Effing dare you, Travis?
Who could? Hey, Eric's there. Hello, Eric.
Hello, Eric. Oh, excuse me. So France plays Canada.
Yeah, that's gonna be a tough
at
one,
11
man.
a.m.
That's gonna be tough, dude.
But I in Victor Wembanyama, I trust.
Yeah,
I trust that France will find a way. And it's Canada. Operation Leaf Blower. Just take them out. They're Canadians. Eh?
Yeah, but they got a lot of NBA
Dudley
players
do
on
right.
their team.
Drink your moose head and go home. And then 2:30 is Team USA
Team
versus
USA against Brazil.
Brazil.
It's Brazil. A lot of people call it Brazil, but I've heard it both ways.
Very cool, Eric. We'd love to see it. And Eric, Mr. T, and I were talking this morning about rescheduling.
In between F-bombs.
Yeah. If you have, and we got to work around, I've got some days off coming.
I've got a few.
September 8th. Well, anyway, we'll talk about it.
Stand by.
On a Yacht Rock Tuesday, we are just ahead of headlines, traffic, and weather together. And then a prominent NBA legend says if Team USA doesn't bring home the gold in men's basketball, they should not be allowed back into the country. We'll play you that audio coming right up. But first, Charity, what stories are you following?
At least 5 U.S. personnel were injured in an attack against a military base in Iraq. Vice President Kamala Harris and her soon-to-be-revealed running mate will hold a campaign rally in Philly today. And X will be closing its San Francisco office with an eventual plan to move the headquarters to Texas. We'll have more coming up. Right now, traffic and weather together.
Sunny skies today, tomorrow, and on Thursday. Highs today 100, over 100 tomorrow and Thursday. It is 79 degrees in Leon Valley, 79 in Helotes, and 78 here in Stone Oak. WOAI News Time 7:51.
San Antonio's first news on a Yacht Rock Tuesday. where we will turn your love around if you allow us to. She's Charity McCurdy. That's Mr. T.
Wait. How do you turn someone's love around?
As soon as we figure it out, we're going to do it. If you got love and you need it turned around, let us know.
There's so many things going through my mind that I can't say.
I know.
So, yeah.
I can show you how. Once I figure it out, I'll show you.
I don't know if I want you showing me how.
Well, I know who could. Charlie Parker could turn your love around.
With a capital L, yes.
He'll be here at 8:20. And I'm sure Charlie will speak Olympics with us. He is so locked in. He records every second of Olympic coverage on his DVR. Now, today's a big day, Mr. T and Charity, because Victor Wembanyama himself takes on Canada. He doesn't even need the other four guys.
No.
That'll be at 11 o'clock this morning. Wembanyama versus Canada in the knockout round. And at 2:30 this afternoon, Team USA versus Brazil. But yesterday on Paul George's podcast, known as Podcast P with Paul George, Sir Charles Barkley was on, and he talked about the prospect of.
Now, they start off talking about Team USA and how they're doing and all that, and then it gets into Charles taking on the team. So, yes, it's very good.
Okay, let's listen.
Have the international teams gotten better? 100%. They're still not better than the United States. You take away Joker and Giannis and Luka. All three guys are great players. Shea's great also. But we still got the next 10 best players in every game. Ain't nobody bringing nobody off the bench better than Jason Tatum. Ain't nobody bringing anybody off the bench better than Kevin Durant. The international teams have gotten better, but there's never an excuse for the United States not to win the gold medal. We got the best team. We got the best players by far.
I think Canada is probably one of the better teams that could give USA a real shot if they can put it together. But top to bottom, their guard play is great, but they're just not big enough. You look at France, they got the size, but they don't have the guard play. You can't find teams internationally that can put it all together the way USA team can. If we're locked in, there's no shot at USA losing.
Listen, if they lose, we can't let them back in the country. We can't. I told them they can't come back.
Okay, before we react to that, we do have breaking news. Let's go to Charity McCurdy for the big news of the day.
Yeah, CNN right now is reporting that Vice President Kamala Harris has chosen Minnesota Governor Tim Walz to be her VP running mate. Yes. So, Chris, you selected Walz.
He called it.
I selected him by default. I selected him because, Charity, you took Josh Shapiro. Tim, you took Mark Kelly. Says, all right, I'll take Grandpa. And she chooses.
See, but you picked it. You should own it.
Wow. As predicted by Chris Duell. Wow. Tim, how underwhelming. I haven't been this underwhelmed by a VP pick since Hillary Clinton took Tim Kaine as her choice. I'm going to have Charity. I'm going to have some vanilla ice cream right after the show in honor of this underwhelming vanilla old white guy pick.
Hey, he's a former teacher, a former U.S. Army National Guard member.
I respect that. God bless him for his service.
He called Trump and Vance weird, and that gained some traction.
Ooh,
so
he's really
spicy. Yeah,
he can deliver the zingers. He'll be delivering zingers like weird out on the campaign trail. I agree with. I think Mike Opelka said this earlier with us. Walz, in my opinion, is the worst of the three picks.
Yeah.
You choose Mark Kelly. You would have had the astronaut, the gravitas, the husband of Gabby Gifford. The Democrats love the gun issue. You could have done that with Gabby Gifford. You choose Josh Shapiro, Charity, as you predicted. You would have had young, vibrant, 51-year-old. You would have had a total youth ticket here, at least compared to Donald Trump's age. Yeah, I think my instant analysis is underwhelming, lackluster, bad choice by Kamala Harris.
And we'll see how the crowd in Philly reacts. That's rallied today when Harris appears with Walz for the first time.
I was going to say, they're known for that.
Yes.
They're known for that. They're just going to, man, I can't believe, why would she pick Philadelphia to make this announcement of Minnesota
he should
governor?
Should,
I mean,
should
come on.
this be made at Mall of the Americas in Minneapolis in front of... What's a typical mall? What's in every mall? What's a store that's in every mall?
Spencer's Gifts.
Spencer's Gifts. Yeah, because he reminds me of, he should be the spokesperson for Spencer's Gifts.
He should be.
Hi, I'm Tim Walz for Spencer's Gifts.
Everything in here is weird.
Yeah, we'll make the announcement in front of the kiosk, at Mall of America.
Well, I mean, if Harris is looking to appeal to rural white voters, I mean, maybe this is another reason into her decision to go with Walz. I don't know.
Well, and everybody has a grandpa. So,
and everybody loves a grandpa.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the, maybe that, I have no idea.
It's very possible, man.
Wow. The Democrats make me scratch my head regularly, and I'm going to lift my Yacht Rock captain's hat. In fact, right now, I'm scratching my head right now on video.
Bizarre
If you're
why you would
watching
do
YouTube,
this, yeah.
you see me scratching my head on that choice. So, Charity McCurdy right there with the breaking news.
There you go.
98% of America don't even know that yet. And Charity had the breaking news for before even Charles Barkley was Charity. Oh, we got breaking news. It's Tim Walz. Come on, let's go.
Yeah.
So congratulations, Charity.
No big deal.
So coming right up at the top of the hour, Charity will reiterate that breaking news, and then we will speak with national correspondent Aaron Rial on the stock markets. Charlie Parker at 8:20. WOAI News Time 7:57. Thank you, Kay. I just think that's such an underwhelming pick.
It is.
Kay, Sleepy, Connie, welcome in, Eric, Tommy Miller.
Did you watch any of the Football Hall of Fame, Charlie?
No. I was watching Olympics.
Yes, sir.
I was not.
I saw the Steve McMichael thing, and I thought, man, that wasn't cool. They should have had somebody else in there talking. It was eerie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Jacob, I agree with you. I mean, maybe this is going to surprise us and shock us once we get to know him, but I'm not seeing it yet. Oh, by the way, and you were right, Charlie, that Dwayne Thomas story is nowhere else. It was on Thomas Henderson's on his Facebook page. He said he passed away yesterday. Yeah, I know. He must be.
Exactly what he said.
He must be. But yeah, even this morning I checked everywhere, and it's nowhere.
I checked after I saw your text yesterday, and I couldn't find it anywhere either.
But as Tim and I say, until you pronounce somebody dead, the Grim Reaper, nobody's officially dead until we get the RIP from you.
Exactly.
So Dwayne Thomas lives.
When we were in, there's a joke, when we were in New Orleans for the Spurs thing last year, I killed Vern Lundquist.
Wow, oh, man, why would you do that?
Well,
here comes Charity, everybody.
Eight o'clock is our time. San Antonio's first news. Good Tuesday morning. I'm Charity McCurdy. Among our top stories, VP Kamala Harris has chosen her running mate, and U.S. personnel have been injured in a rocket attack in western Iraq. We'll have details ahead. First, traffic and weather together every 10 minutes in mornings. Your Weather Channel forecast for this Tuesday: sunny and hot, a high of 100. Tonight's low near 77. Get a move on. It is 79 degrees. As we have continuing coverage of Decision 2024, Vice President Kamala Harris has reportedly named her running mate. It's Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. Pennsylvania Congressman Dan Mueser told Fox News he had heard from the get-go the pick was Walz.
And by the way, Walt's latest comment that being socialist is kind of like being neighborly, it sounds as if he's going to fit very well with the ideology of Kamala Harris.
Waltz will appear with Harris at a Philadelphia rally today. They will then kick off a multi-state tour trying to sway voters in battleground states. Meantime, former President Trump is vowing not to debate Kamala Harris unless she agrees to a debate on Fox News. Here's Fox's Kevin Corke.
This is sort of back and forth. You either love or hate, depending on how much you appreciate political gamesmanship. Now, on Truth Social, President Trump proclaimed this: Kamala Harris doesn't have the mental capacity to do a real debate against me, scheduled for September 4th in Pennsylvania. She's afraid to do it because there's no way she can justify her corrupt and open borders, the environmental destruction of our country, the Afghanistan embarrassment, runaway inflation, terrible economy, high interest rates and taxes, and her years-long fight to stop the words Merry Christmas. I'll see her on September 4th, or I won't see her at all.
Well, at least 5 American personnel have been hurt in an attack against a base in Iraq. Fox's Kristen Goodwin has the latest.
2 U.S. defense officials tell Fox News several U.S. personnel were injured in a suspected rocket attack against a military base in western Iraq, saying base personnel are conducting a post-attack damage assessment. Tensions in the region rising. The U.S. has been bracing for Iran to retaliate against Israel over the killings of a senior Hezbollah commander in Lebanon and Hamas's top political leader in Iran. It also comes after the Pentagon announced it was deploying additional fighter jets and Navy warships to the Middle East to boost defenses following threats from Iran and its allies. Kristen Goodwin, Fox News.
Well, Tropical Storm Debbie continues to make its way north after making landfall as a Category 1 hurricane yesterday morning in Florida's Big Bend area. The National Hurricane Center says Debbie's moving across southeastern Georgia at just 7 miles per hour, with forecast warning of major, possibly historic flooding throughout the southeast over the next several days. At least 5 deaths, 4 in Florida, another in Georgia, have already been blamed on the storm. Well, a major stock market sell-off extended around the world yesterday. Fox's Hillary Barsky has more.
It was a Monday that began with stocks plunging around the globe, reminiscent of the stock market crash of 1987. The major averages did end the trading day sharply lower on recession worries, with the Dow falling 1,034 points, the Nasdaq down 576, S&P 500 lower by 160. The sell-off follows weak economic data last week, including Friday's soft jobs report for July. Investors are worried that the Fed has pressed the brakes on the economy by doing too much for too long through high interest rates in hopes of tackling hot inflation. High-flying tech stocks, which outperformed earlier this year, were among the worst decliners, while Wall Street's fear gauge spiked to the highest level in 4 years.
Well, SpaceX says its next launch of the Starship prototype could include a noisy finish. The company announced its next launch will feature an attempt to recover the vehicle's super heavy booster at the Boca Chica Beach launch pad. SpaceX is slowing down the booster to make recovery possible, will create one or more sonic booms over South Texas. The next launch is expected later this month or early next month. Well, the CDC is warning about a new spike in COVID cases in Texas, which are surpassing the past 2 summers.
Main reason is that this virus continues to spin off new strains, and over time, these strains acquire a combination of mutations that allow it to get around our antibodies.
Dr. Jason Bowling at UT Health San Antonio says many families took summer vacations this year, and going to the airport exposes travelers to germs from around the world. Well, the American Red Cross says there's an extreme shortage of blood across the nation. Well, last month, extreme heat impacted blood drives across the country, resulting in a 25% decrease in blood donations. As a thank you and an incentive, people who donate this month will receive a $20 Amazon gift card. It is 8:06, news at the top and bottom of every hour, along with breaking news as it happens. I'm Charity McCurdy, traffic and weather coming up.
San Antonio's first news on a Yacht Rock Tuesday, as Charity broke the news minutes ago. Tim Walz, the choice by Kamala Harris for vice president. More on that coming up. Charlie Parker in studio, joining us within moments, but coming right up, national correspondent Erin Real on one of the most accurate indicators of a possible recession has been triggered. She'll walk us through that story coming right up. But first, your traffic and weather together.
Sunny skies today, tomorrow, and on Thursday. Hot all 3 days. 100 today, over 100 tomorrow, and on Thursday. 79 degrees in Alamo Heights, 79 in Castroville, and 78 right here in Stone Oak. WOAI News Time, 8:10.
San Antonio's first news. Charlie Parker in studio. He will speak with us in less than 10 minutes. Right now, national correspondent Erin Real. Erin, you have an indicator that has had a perfect record thus far in predicting the onset of a recession. Walk us through this story.
Yes. So this is an interesting one. The SOM indicator, the SOM rule, it has observed without fail the initial part of a recession. And basically it starts when you have 3 months, the moving average of U.S. unemployment and its rate is at least a 0.5 percentage point higher than the 12-month low. Okay, sure. So that's the metric. It's happening. But actually, Claudia Sahm, the economist who this is named after, has said point blank, it's not a complete foregone conclusion that we're going into a recession. The Fed has lots of wiggle room. Basically, what the SOM rule does is it tells us something much deeper about the recessionary process. And basically, it says that if we have 5 basis points more in terms of the jobless rate going up, then it's probably going to be a lot more. Essentially, it's like this drip, 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 and then you hit escape velocity, and it's just an absolute deluge of problems. And that's the recession. A recession, by definition, is 2 quarters of declining GDP. We do not have that yet. 2 consecutive quarters, by the way, of declining GDP. So we're not there. There are many levers the Fed can pull, and they don't necessarily need to pull them just yet. But after this complete global market meltdown over the past 2 days, they're keeping their eyes very peeled.
Yeah, Erin, is there any scenario in which the Fed will do an emergency rate cut and not wait another few months?
It's possible. However, they're very rare, and they are also issued during extreme circumstances. This is not like a willy-nilly thing. Essentially, there's only been 7 emergency cuts since past 2 decades, essentially. Well, 3 decades. So you had 2 following the terrorist attacks in 2001. Then you had 1 during the bubble burst of the dot-com bubble. Then you had 2 during the Great Recession and 2 during the pandemic. Those are pretty intense times. So while it's not any of those times right now, today, they're holding off because, listen, the Nikkei overnight, great day. It recovered a lot. It actually had its best day since the 2008 recession. European markets did pretty well too. The market might correct itself all on its own today. Futures are looking up, and then they wouldn't need to issue a cut. But the Fed will come in and save us if we're about to drive off a cliff.
Well, if we're not in a recession right now, what do you call this?
A painful time.
Amen.
I know what I call this. I call this the result of inflation and printing too much money, which is what we did during the pandemic. We shut everything down, and then we printed all this money, and we had to suck it all out. We knew it was going to be painful. You cannot do that without then having to take your medicine, or you die. Like, inflation is terrible. You end up bringing a wheelbarrow to the grocery store to buy an apple. It doesn't work. So we are going through that pain of printing all that money and having hyper low rates. But now this is what it feels like. It isn't a technical recession, but inflation in many ways feels worse than a recession for many people, because a recession is terrible if you lose your job. And when you lose your job, money dries up completely. There is zero spending, and that is very painful. But for a lot of people, just the slow drip that is inflation is harder to stomach.
Our thanks to national correspondent Aaron Real, resetting our breaking story from minutes ago. Vice President Kamala Harris has tapped Minnesota Governor Tim Walz as her running mate, and that will be revealed publicly at an event in Philadelphia later this afternoon. Charlie Parker in studio. He joins us next. WOAI News Time, 8:14. Just ahead of headlines, traffic, and weather together, and the big breaking story that broke just before the top of the hour. Kamala Harris chooses Minnesota Governor Tim Walz as her running mate. And Charity, I mentioned this is, to me, this is a head scratcher. How do you feel about it?
He was the last person I expected out of the three, with Governor Shapiro out of Pennsylvania and Arizona Senator Mark Kelly. I thought were the two front runners. But apparently sources are saying that Kamala Harris was impressed with just Walz's happy-go-lucky demeanor. And I guess you have to be compatible personality-wise. I think that's a major factor other than policy that I guess shows that they are compatible moving forward.
They don't got to be friends, man. They just got to work together. And I really am surprised by this because I thought for sure it was going to be Josh Shapiro since they were doing this, or she's doing this announcement in Philadelphia.
That
I
was
just
the
thought for
plan.
sure.
Yeah, I told you that day one when she made the announcement that I'm doing this in Philadelphia. I told you right then it was a ball fake.
Wow.
It was a good one.
Charlie, your reaction to Minnesota Governor Tim Walz as the running mate?
Don't know anything about him. Don't know if he's going to make a difference. Don't know if he's not going to make a difference. I don't care.
All right. More coming up. Charity, what stories are you tracking?
Well, Vice President Kamala Harris has picked Minnesota Governor Tim Walz as her running mate. 5 deaths are being blamed on Debbie after the storm made landfall as a Category 1 hurricane in Florida. And Iranian proxies are being blamed for an attack against a U.S. military base in Iraq that left 5 Americans injured. We'll have the latest coming up right now, traffic and weather together.
Sunny skies today, tomorrow, and on Thursday. Hot all 3 days, at least 100 degrees. 79 in Von Ormy, 79 in Cibolo, and 78 right here in Stone Oak. WOAI News Time, 8:20.
San Antonio's first news as we continue to react to the breaking news. Less than a half an hour ago, it broke. Kamala Harris choosing as a running mate Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. More on this coming up. Charlie Parker in studio. Charlie, again, wearing your Team USA cap. Nobody watching more Olympics that I personally know than you, Charlie.
I am still paying attention to pretty much every moment. Got some Olympic news. Let's start with what I'd like to call the dystopian circus.
Right on.
Because I'm tired of having this conversation with people. Let's put an end to it. Algerian boxer Imani Khalif was born a woman, is a woman, been a woman her entire life. She is not transgender. So let's put it away. And everybody, we fell into the trap right here last week. We did the same thing, reporting that she was, they didn't check her. The IOC wasn't prepared for the backlash, if that was the case, but she's not.
Yeah.
It's so get that out of here. The next time somebody brings it up, just tell them that they're full of it. Noah Lyles, U.S. sprinter, Sunday won the 100 meter by 1/5,000th of a second.
Man.
Wow. Everybody now, I want you to blink your eye. That's how long 1/5,000th of a second is. In the time of a blink. Maybe that's where the phrase, hey, well, in the blink of an eye came from.
Wow.
He's going for the 200 on Thursday.
Yes.
As he himself says, the 100 meter is my mistress. The 200 meter is my wife.
Wow.
That's a good analogy.
I like the guy. By the way, only 2 men have ever won both the 100 and the 200 in the same Olympic competition. And that would be Carl Lewis and Usain Bolt.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right. So good luck, Noah.
Good company, yes.
Yesterday, Armand Mondo Duplantis from LSU, from Louisiana, pole vaulting for Sweden. That's a whole nother story. We can get into that at some other time. Had already won gold yesterday in pole vault, but still had 3 vaults left. He could take them or just sit back and go, I'm done. I'll just, wait until we get to the medal stand and I'll take my gold medal. Nope. That's not what that young man did. He asked to have the bar
Raise
set,
the bar, yeah.
Raise the bar to what is the Olympic record. And then in the first of his 3 remaining vaults, cleared it, set an Olympic record.
Wow.
He now still has 2 vaults left.
Yes.
He now asked them to raise the bar to the world record. He didn't make it on his first try. On his second try,
Mondo Duplantis, world record to end the night in Paris.
Now, there's a lot of argument. He's getting some backlash because he was born in Louisiana and he's pole vaulting for Sweden. There's a big story behind that. No, we'll get to that at some other time. I don't know if you know this. I did not know this. We're aware of the 4x100 medleys.
Yes.
Both in track and in swimming.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know, and we'll just use swimming as the example here. So you got 4 individuals swimming 100 meters each. Backstroke, breaststroke, butterfly, freestyle. Did you know, even if you come in last place as a team, if one individual or 2 or 3 or 4 individuals set what would be a world record
in
that particular stroke, in that 100 meters, even though it's a 4x100 medley, you get credit for a world record.
Wow.
You might finish 4th. Your team might finish 4th. But if you're Caleb Dressel and you set a world record in the butterfly in the 100 meters of that 4x100, world record is yours in the butterfly.
So you don't necessarily get a medal, but you get a world record.
You get a world record, but you don't get a medal.
Love it.
Yeah, I did not know that. Medal count, USA's at 79, way in front of everybody.
Yes.
21 gold, tied with China for gold. Today, basketball, track and field, soccer, including the United States and Germany, wrestling, and a whole lot of boxing.
And go USA, and I say go France, because I want Wembanyama to advance in basketball at 11 a.m. Coming up, Joe Pags from the Joe Pags Show, a preview of his show. We will continue to react to the big breaking news. Kamala Harris chooses Minnesota Governor Tim Walz as her running mate. Charity with more on that coming right up. WOAI News Time, 8:26.
8:30 is our time. San Antonio's first news. Good Tuesday morning. I'm Charity McCurdy. Among our top stories, VP Kamala Harris's running mate has been selected, and at least 5 U.S. personnel have been hurt in a rocket attack in Iraq. We'll have more coming up. First, traffic and weather together every 10 minutes in mornings. Your Weather Channel forecast for this Tuesday: sunny and hot, a high of 100. Tonight's low in the upper 70s. Right now, 81 degrees. As our Decision 2024 coverage continues, both the Republican and Democratic vice presidential picks are hitting the campaign trail this week, vying for votes in battleground states. After the news broke just before 8 a.m. that Vice President Kamala Harris has selected Minnesota Governor Tim Walz as her running mate, the two are set to appear for the first time at a rally in Pennsylvania today. Here's Fox's Brian Yennis with more.
The Philly rally tonight launches a 5-day blitz through 7 battleground states. It was supposed to stop in Savannah, Georgia, but that stop has since been postponed because of Tropical Storm Debbie. Senator J.D. Vance, by the way, is making a stop here in Philadelphia. He will be making stops following Harris all the way through North Carolina this week on Thursday.
Meantime, Donald Trump's allies are already coming out swinging against Tim Walz. The pro-Trump super PAC Make America Great Again said in a press release, Governor Tim Walz and Kamala Harris will get along just great. They're both far-left radicals that don't know how to govern. Well, an attack on a military base in western Iraq has left several Americans injured. Here's Fox's Trey Yinks on the latest on an increasingly violent Middle East.
Overnight, an Iran-backed militia targeted a base in western Iraq that houses American troops. Now, according to reports, multiple U.S. service members were injured in that attack, and we are waiting to get an update on their conditions. The attack marked the 219th time that U.S. forces were targeted in the Middle East since early October. And the timing of this incident that occurred at the Al-Assad Air Base in western Iraq couldn't have come at a more tense time. President Biden was at the White House being updated on the expected Iranian attack that is planned against Israel.
And Secretary of State Antony Blinken is calling for conflicts in the Middle East to ease amid the potential of a wider war.
All parties must refrain from escalation. All parties must take steps to ease tensions.
The threat of an attack comes 1 week after Hamas's top political leader was killed in the Iranian capital of Tehran. Well, charges have been dropped against a former SAPD officer accused of firing shots at 2 teens as they ran away from him. Oscar Cruz Jr. had been charged with deadly conduct as a result of the incident 4 years ago. He was indefinitely suspended from the police department in 2020. A Bexar County District Court judge dismissed the case last Friday because prosecutors weren't able to prove Cruz's guilt beyond reasonable doubt. Well, Tropical Storm Debbie continues to dump rain on parts of Florida and South Georgia. Fox Weather's Mike Seidel reports from South Carolina.
It is cloudy, overcast. We've had some very, very heavy rain this morning. In fact, we had a squall earlier that just pushed the water even higher. It's really the rainfall and the rainfall rates of 1 to 2 inches an hour. And this area here has had over 10 inches of rain since Debbie's moisture moved in early yesterday. We've had over 6 since midnight tonight, and best thing to do is sit tight over the next several days unless you have an emergency. By the way, rainfall totals will add up to 20 plus inches. I mean, this is going to be historic and something we haven't seen in this area in about 6 years from Florence in 2018.
The storm is responsible for 4 deaths in Florida and at least 1 in Georgia. A suspected street racer is in custody, accused of an accident that injured his 12-year-old female passenger late Sunday night. Police say the crash happened around 11 p.m. on I-37 near Southeast Military Drive. The 18-year-old driver reportedly lost control during the race and drove into a grassy median. The girl was thrown out of the car and landed on top of an SUV in an apartment complex parking lot. She's hospitalized in critical condition. The driver's charged with racing on a highway, causing serious bodily injury. Well, it's not just sprinters and swimmers who get the spotlight during the Summer Olympics.
Some smaller sports that hardly get coverage are being thrust onto the world stage. One example is fencing. Fencing never gets the spotlight, but once every 4 years, it's broadcast into homes around the world. Chris Tyman with the fencing club at Texas State University says that creates a new legion of fans.
I think everyone's kind of excited to see it in the world stage because it is a kind of niche sport.
They've been using the games as a way to get people to think about picking up a saber. Last week, an American fencer made history. Lee Kiefer became the first to win gold medals at 2 consecutive Olympics. I'm Beth Myers, News Radio 1200 WOAI.
X will be closing its San Francisco office. According to the New York Times, the company announced internally yesterday the office will close with workers relocated somewhere else in the Bay Area. Owner Elon Musk has promised in the past to move the headquarters to Texas in response to a California law banning teachers from forcibly outing the gender identity of students. Well, people taking diabetes or weight loss drugs like Ozempic, Wegovy, and Mounjaro could be at risk of complications from surgery. A study from UT Health Houston found that more than half of the people taking those kinds of medications still had significant gastric contents before surgery, even if they have been fasting. That could cause a potentially life-threatening problem when food or liquid is inhaled into the lungs. It is 8:37. Traffic and weather together in a minute, but first, a check of your money and the world of business. We welcome in Ed Corey live at the Bloomberg News Desk. All right, thanks, Ed. News at the top and bottom of every hour, along with breaking news as it happens. I'm Charity McCurdy. Here's traffic and weather.
San Antonio's first news on a Yacht Rock Tuesday with big breaking news. Charity had it for us about 45 minutes ago as it broke. Kamala Harris chooses her running mate. It will be Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. We'll react more to this in a moment. But first, let's check in with Joe Pags from the Joe Pags Show. Joe, another attack on U.S. personnel in the Middle East. Good morning, Joe.
Good morning, Chris. That's right. The entire world is watching what's happening in the Middle East, and I talked about it on my show yesterday. In my 58 years, it has always been like this, if not worse. So this isn't really anything new, but where is the resolution? Yesterday, a reporter yelled at Joe Biden, the president of the United States, "Are you worried about what Iran will do? You think Iran will slow down? You think Iran will back off?" And his answer was, "What?" And then he said, "I don't know." So there you go. That we're not getting a whole lot of leadership out of Washington right now. Kamala Harris hasn't commented on it yet. We'll see exactly how this thing shakes out. We'll go to Israel and talk to Ruthie Bloom. We'll have her back on. Also, Ivory Hecker, journalist, and more on the Joe Pags Show today at 5. News Radio 1200 WOAI. See you then.
Thank you, Joe. Joe Pags Show, 5 o'clock this afternoon until 8. Be sure to tune in. And Charity, I'm sure one of the big things Joe's going to be all over is this Kamala Harris decision to choose Minnesota Governor Tim Walz as her running mate. And Charity, help me out on this. Okay, if she'd have chosen Arizona Senator Mark Kelly, Mr. T's prediction, you'd have gotten astronaut, you'd have gotten border state, and you'd have gotten Gabby Gifford's husband. There's gun control. The Democrats love that. You'd have gotten all of that in one running mate. If you'd have chosen Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro, you get a young, vibrant 51-year-old who is very, very good, we know already, as an attack dog. That is what often a VP candidate is. He's your attack dog. She goes with 60-year-old Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. We're learning more and more about Tim Walz, but I still have yet to learn how he benefits this ticket.
Yeah, I'm not there yet either. But I guess it comes down to personality, compatibility. Some sources are reporting that Harris was very impressed with his happy-go-lucky demeanor. I don't know how much weight that carries on the Democratic ticket and hopes of winning the White House in November. But Walz is a former National Guard member, a former teacher. And I guess if the Harris campaign wants to appeal to rural white voters, that may provide evidence why they decided to back Walz for the running mate position.
You know who really loves this pick? Republicans.
Oh, of course.
They love this pick. They just gave him a gift. I mean, this is perfect. This is perfect. I mean, this is what they were hoping for.
I agree with you. And we spoke earlier with Mike Opelka, and he said of the three choices, Tim Walz, Josh Shapiro, or Mark Kelly, the one that would mean Harris would lose by more would be Tim Walz. You just killed the youth theme that you could have had, I believe, certainly with Josh Shapiro. Tim Walz only 9 years older than Josh Shapiro. Walz is 60, Shapiro 51, but he looks about 20 years older.
Yeah. Is it possible that you're missing the obvious, that maybe Kelly and Shapiro didn't want the job?
I don't think so.
Why? How do you know?
I think we would have heard that over the last couple of weeks when their names, I mean, they both came in for a face-to-face interview.
Face-to-face, yeah.
Over the on Sunday.
Just me. I believe that's all part of the ball fake.
Huh.
You know, you can't run a ball fake on an NBA court or on the NFL field without the whole team participating.
So you feel that there is a chance that Josh Shapiro
I think there's
and or Mark Kelly did not want the job.
That's what. Sure.
Man, I don't know.
That's a highly coveted job.
Well, think about it. How else could you? I mean, if you care, how else could you explain not choosing one of the other two based on all the credentials that you just talked about?
It's a good question. I look forward to hearing Kamala Harris's explanation because
she won't explain it.
It blows my mind that she made this choice. So, all right, more coming up. We'll get you caught up on headlines, traffic, weather, and more. WOAI News Time, 8:44. Just ahead of headlines, traffic, and weather together, and we will continue to react to the big breaking story. Kamala Harris choosing Minnesota Governor Tim Walz as her running mate. Charity, one of the big stories you are following this morning.
That's right. VP Kamala Harris picks Minnesota Governor Tim Walz to be her running mate. The two will appear at a Philadelphia rally tonight. At least 5 Americans have been injured in a rocket attack at a U.S. military base in Iraq. And Texas DPS has reinstated a ranger who was targeted for termination after the Uvalde school shooting. We'll have details coming up. Right now, traffic and weather together.
Sunny skies today, tomorrow, and Thursday, all 3 days, 100 or above. It is 79 degrees in Alamo Heights, 79 in China Grove, and 78 right here in Stone Oak. WOAI News Time, 8:50.
San Antonio's first news. Our thanks to E.J. Pacheco and Andrew Zimmel for flying the Millennium Falcon this morning, doing all the heavy lifting. Charity McCurdy, Charlie Parker in studio. Mr. T, Tim Merriman. I am Chris Duell. We are reacting to the big breaking story just about 1 hour ago, a little less than an hour. It broke. Charity had it. Kamala Harris chooses Minnesota Governor Tim Walz as her running mate. Charity, what do you think of the name recognition when she says Tim Walz? What percentage of Americans outside the state of Minnesota have any idea who that guy is?
No, I think it's going to be a new introduction to Tim Walz for many of the Democratic voters. I just can't wait to see the chemistry on display at that rally stage tonight in Philadelphia, if that's indeed what it came down to, that she loved his happy-go-lucky personality and missed out on a former astronaut, Arizona Senator Mark Kelly, and someone with a high approval rating, favorability rating, Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro. I was just so convinced it was going to be one of those two, not Walz.
Yeah, I was convinced that too. And the only thing I know about Governor Walz is he was a governor during the George Floyd thing when that was going on. And there was a lot of things that happened in Minnesota at that time that
riots.
Made me scratch my head and go, well, why aren't they doing something about it? That's really all I know about the guy.
Well, and obviously the George Floyd issue and death, which was a jury decided was a murder, was a huge, huge story. But even as I look back on that and everything that happened with the death of George Floyd, I don't remember Tim Walz. So even though he was the governor at the time, and I'm sure he had press conferences and was a big deal, and the four of us pay close attention to the news, I'm not recalling Tim Walz as being a big part of that story.
Yeah, but Donald Trump's campaign is loving it. Of course, I'm sure they had statements already in the bag for whatever candidate she ended up choosing. But when it came to Walz, they said for the pro-Trump super PAC, Make America Great Again, said that Walz and Harris will get along just great. They're both far left radicals that don't know how to govern.
I'm not sure Trump and his people are, happy about this. This guy's got a big history, Walz, and I'm just learning all this morning, and I want to go back. You take Mark Kelly, and with the exception of the fact that he, was an astronaut and that his wife, almost died from a gunshot wound, we don't know anything about Shapiro. What do we know about Shapiro other than that he's from Pennsylvania?
Well, we know he has a 61% approval rating, and we know
in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, well, and you need Pennsylvania to win the presidency, to win the Electoral College. Harris has to win the state of Pennsylvania.
Well, he can probably do that just by him staying the governor. I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
But you got your Trump and your Project 25 or 20, whatever it is,
2025,
and the education issue that is just loaded with misinformation. and people thinking one way. And now you got a guy who's already got the backing of the largest teachers union in the country. So maybe that counters that project. What is it, 2025?
Yeah,
or
Project 2025, yes.
Whatever it is. I don't want to come off as sounding like, well, the Democrats are the smartest political party in the world. They know what they're doing. But take out that preamble, so to speak. I got to guess that they have an idea, whoever they are, of knowing what they're doing.
We will see.
Yeah, I would think that, but yeah.
And we'll get a better idea this afternoon when they both take the stage in Philadelphia. Our White House correspondent, John Decker, will be there. We will certainly get a firsthand eyewitness report and analysis from him tomorrow. It just blows my mind. We didn't even start hearing Tim Walz's name as a hot candidate until the weekend.
Yeah.
His name started appearing like Friday, Saturday.
And I guess this really came down to a last minute decision, because we were hearing that Harris hadn't decided until late last night, early this morning, which I find hard to believe in itself.
Well, I agree with you there on that latter part, that I'm finding it hard to believe. I don't think it was a last minute decision. I think it was the decision from the get-go.
We will be all over this throughout the day on 1200 WOAI, and certainly we'll have the latest on it on this program tomorrow morning from 5 to 9. Glenn Beck, he will certainly have reaction to this coming up here after the broadcast, and Charity McCurdy before that with everything you need to know going on in the world, including this big story on Tim Walz, the Minnesota governor, the running mate for Kamala Harris. Right now, your Sean Hannity Morning Minute.